person he expected to see. He actually tapped him on the shoulder, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he turned around with a look of surprise on his face. And there was quite a warm embrace between the two of them. And remember, it was only last month that Ruben Amorim oversaw a 4-1 win against Manchester City in his penultimate match with Sporting. Boos here from the home supporters because Manchester United have turned them around. Anthony Taylor is the referee. They don't like that, do they? That there's a little win for Manchester United. Let me run you through the teams first of all. Manchester City, Ederson continues in goal after playing in the Champions League in midweek. Then Walker, the captain, Diaz and Gvardiol. And then Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Matheus Nunes, Phil Foden, Jeremy Doku and Erling Haaland. World Service listeners, join us here at the Etihad Stadium. This is very much the sound of the Etihad. With sky blue scarves being held high and now twirled around the various levels of the Etihad Stadium. And Manchester United, no Marcus Rashford, no Alejandro Garnacho, left out for selection reasons. Kobbie Mainoo, another Manchester lad, Stockport lad, is on the bench today. So Manchester United, Onana in goal, De Ligt, Maguire and Martinez, Mazraoui, Ugarte, Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot, Amad Diallo, Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund, who has scored 3 goals in his last 2 games. Anthony Taylor gets the match underway with the sharp blow of the referee's whistle, and Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, white shorts and dark blue socks have won the ball back. Jeremy Doku, and then Manchester City go all the way back into their own half and actually give a touch back to Ederson. I think the feeling was that Ortega would continue in the Premier League, but no, he's stuck with Ederson.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he gave Ortega a run. I think he ultimately wanted Ederson back in the team. But I think the big thing from the start of this game is the position of Matheus Nunes. We weren't sure, would he be outside left, outside right, who would play in areas of the pitch. He's the player that's sort of drifting into that left-back position for Manchester City. Whether that's the case for the whole game, we'll see, but certainly something to keep an eye on. I
suspect it will be, Leon, don't you? With Rico Lewis suspended for this match after his sending off at Selhurst Park last weekend, it very much looks as though Matheus Nunes is going to slip into that position, spending most of the match really in the centre of midfield, but will be dropping into the left-back area when required. But we'll keep an eye on that. So Bernardo Silva is way out there on the right-hand side. Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne central, and Doku here is on the left flank. Grealish among the substitutes today. So Manchester City against Manchester United in what is the 195th derby match between these two, as Kevin De Bruyne is the recipient of the first real foul of the match from Diogo Dalot, and it's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own half.
Yeah, both teams have been trying to show good intensity off the ball. I mean, we're only a minute and a half into the game, but both teams have had the ball now. Neither team wants to let the other settle. They've both been in the faces. Both could have given away 2 or 3 fouls already in the game. And, it's exactly what you want to see in a derby.
Full time, by the way, in what was the Sports Extra commentary match. Liverpool 0, Arsenal 1 in the Women's Super League. And next on Sports Extra, it'll be the Exeter-Toulouse Champions Cup Rugby Union match. So that is the choice of listening here on 5 Live and the World Service, and of course on BBC Sounds if you're on the move on this December Sunday afternoon and want to listen to the commentary. Doku down the outside but ran the ball out of play, and the flag goes up. That is disputed by all in sky blue, but it's a throw into Manchester United. Leon Osman.
Yeah, that's a battle to keep an eye on. Manchester City have filtered the ball out to Jeremy Doku on a couple of occasions. He's tried to face up Mazraoui, who actually found himself just backing off, and he was fortunate there because Doku did just seem like he got round in the ball. I mean, the assistant's right online to see it was close to whether it went out. He gave the decision to stop Manchester City advancing.
So it is Manchester United with Højlund pulling over Matheus Nunes. Free kick to Manchester City. Gvardiol dressed very darkly, brown shoes, dark trousers, blue jacket, just comes forward very animatedly with an instruction there. There's a long pass that's hit forward by Walker. That's headed away by Mazraoui on the edge of the box. Bruno Fernandes goes and plays it back to goalkeeper Onana, who will clear this forward. Gundogan got a touch. It's reached Amad Diallo. Nice from Diallo. Picked out Bruno Fernandes. There's space over there on the left-hand side. And Diogo Dalot now takes it on forward, but it slowed the momentum of the attack. So Manchester United have got it back inside their own half. Now a dart forward down the left-hand side by Mason Mount, and then Doku is on after it in the centre circle, and he is all hauled over in the in centre field by Ugarte, who's trying to wriggle away from him. In fact, referee Anthony Taylor has brought it back for the free kick, and City have been allowed to take it quickly. Gundogan gave it to Mateus Nunes. Nunes now. Doku has some space on the left-hand side. Manchester United are quickly back. Doku slips it through to Mateus Nunes. Mateus Nunes took it back out into the full-back position. De Bruyne is available. De Bruyne curls it in beyond the far post, and Haaland was tangling there with Martinez, who did well actually.
Did very well.
And headed it behind for a corner.
Yeah, he did very well. Manchester City, great attack down the left-hand side. Doku and Mateus Nunes building up very well, filtered it back to Kevin De Bruyne, and as soon as he's in the team, you know the ball might be delivered. Haaland sets off making runs. He held it up high to the back post. Haaland looked like he'd come over Martinez, but as he always does, he got his body in the position well and defended it out for a corner.
So it's a corner, first of the match, to Manchester City from the right. Foden gets it back. Foden returning to the team here. De Bruyne's ball in, that's headed away on the edge of the penalty area, and back City go to the halfway line, and back we will go to Carrow Road and Paul Scott.
With a little under 15 minutes to play, Burnley have turned this match on its head. The captain Josh Brownhill with a close range finish to put the Clarets ahead as they look to close the gap on the top two in the Championship. Norwich 1, Burnley 2.
Earlier it finished Watford 2, West Brom 1. It is still Celtic 0, Rangers 1 in the League Cup final at Hampden. And Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0 is the latest score. 10-man Kilmarnock winning 1-0 against bottom of the table Hearts in the one match in the Premiership today. Earlier Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 3 in our first Premier League commentary match of the day, as Manchester United have it with De Ligt, one of the men who started every match under Amorim. Now here's Diogo Dalot to the corner of the penalty area. Dalot still going, left-footed cross. Out comes Ederson and is able to pat it down as he ran out of the 6-yard box and picks it up on the bounce and gives it out to Bernardo Silva. Kevin De Bruyne now on the far side just slows the momentum, and Manchester City go back into their own half.
Yeah, you can see the game plan from Manchester United. They've got what is most of the time a back five in place. You've got two central midfielders in front, just trying to stifle Manchester City. You've got Mount and Ahmad either side. As soon as they win the ball, they pounce forward quickly. All of them burst into action to get forward. It's a great pass from De Ligt that started that move, and you know, Manchester United nearly presented the first real big chance of the game.
Bruno Fernandes forward towards Mason Mount, the Manchester United number 7, who's had such injury difficulty since he joined from Chelsea. Then to Amad Diallo, now Mazraoui, then infield towards Bruno Fernandes, and then Ugarte, and then Mason Mount, and Mount, right-footed ball, just drops it into the full-back position. Diogo Dalot races onto that, gives it back to Mount, who took up a position towards the left-hand side. Manchester United possession inside the Etihad Stadium, and the United supporters away over in the corner to our right, behind Ederson's goal, in the 3 tiers there, trying to make themselves heard in amongst all of the whistles as their team keep possession again, trying to quieten the home crowd and go all the way back to goalkeeper Onana. Here's Mazraoui, who's shown himself to be versatile in Amorim's teams so far. Today as the right wing back, the Moroccan World Cup player, as Ugarte goes down under a challenge. Referee Taylor says play on, and now it's back with Diogo Dalot again over there on the left-hand side. Manchester United, who've lost their last 2 league matches, so return to the winner's circle in the provinces of Czechia on Thursday night in the Europa League with the 2-1 win that they had there. But the last 2 league matches they've played, the defeat at Arsenal and then losing at home in that exciting match last Saturday evening against Nottingham Forest. Manchester City's last match here was the win against Nottingham Forest. That is their 1 win in the last 10 matches, the 3-0 victory. But Forest did have chances in that match. But Manchester United just keeping control, keeping possession.
Yeah, they are, and I don't know if they really want to go anywhere with it. You know, we're still only 8 minutes into the game. I think they're happy just sort of knock the ball, spread the pitch big at the moment.
And here is Højlund, who is being manhandled by Diaz 10 yards inside the half. Amad Diallo tries to lift the ball left-footed over the top for the run of Bruno Fernandes, but Manchester City get it down. Gundogan works it away to De Bruyne. Now it is the applause from the Manchester City supporters as they go back to goalkeeper Ederson. Long from him to the halfway line. De Ligt is forward to find a pass to Amad Diallo, who's up against Mateus Nunes now as the kind of auxiliary left back, left wing back, call him what you want. Did well, got the ball down and was able to slide and tackle it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, a really good challenge that. You know, Mateus Nunes' strengths are going forward, and he's going to have his hands full today, having to fill back in that left back position up against Amad Diallo. You'd expect Manchester United, having seen that, to be trying to allow the ball to filter out to this side of the pitch as often as possible. Try and get that a 1v1 battle. Try and get Nunes running back towards his own goal.
Yep, as Manchester United actually go out to the other side, Bruno Fernandes just lands a ball out there, which is taken down eventually to ground level by Diogo Dalot against Walker. Swings it in right-footed, but he's got too much on that. Cheers, mocking cheers from the Manchester City supporters. Overhit that by a distance, and it's all the way through for a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, he did overhit it, but it's quite easy how Manchester United just switched the play and got into a position where they could cross the ball into Manchester City's penalty area. They refused the opportunity about 3 or 4 minutes ago, but on both occasions they only really have Højlund in the penalty area. Nobody's really committed to leave the edge of the penalty area to go and try and get on the end of the cross. I think if they do that, I think they might get a bit of joy.
That is Leon Osman, former Everton and England midfielder, with us here on 5 Live as De Bruyne is on the receiving end of a tackle that had a bit of feeling in it from Harry Maguire.
Yeah, very good tackle. Initially, because of the force of it, Manchester City fans did try and claim a foul, but certainly nothing in it. Wonderful, wonderful tackle.
Yep, Harry Maguire is another one who's had his injury problems, but Ruben Amorim, unlike Pep Guardiola now, was saying before this match that Johnny Evans is also available, so not far short of a full squad to choose from. Of course, Luke Shaw is still on the injured list. Here's Mazraoui now on the right-hand side. Amad Diallo looks sharp. He makes himself available. Now he's into the penalty area. Diallo, oh, he beat Gvardiol, but Gvardiol was able to recover. And then did the flag go up there? Yes, it did. So he was in an offside position. However, that's a little win.
Yeah, definitely. I think it did go up. Just seeing it again, yeah, he was a good yard and a half offside, but that's exactly where Manchester United want to see a lot of the ball today. They want to see, you know, that ball played into Amad, running inside the penalty area, getting in and around or behind Mateus Nunes, facing up with a centre-half. I know it's Gvardiol who is comfortable in a left-back position as well, but those are the kind of duels. If you get your quality players dribbling inside the penalty area, you just know anything can happen.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Leon, when we were discussing the absence, the omission of Garnacho and Marcus Rashford today, you know, whenever anything like that happens in the classic old style, it gives an opportunity to others, doesn't it? And this is a third consecutive start from young Amad Diallo, although we've got a stoppage in play now because Mason Mount has sat down in the middle of the field. Not another injury for Mason Mount. I would certainly hope not.
Well, the look on his face says it probably is. He looks pretty gutted. He's got his head in his hands, and the physio's just come on the pitch. Manchester United look like they've already started to get Kobbie Mainoo ready on the substitutes bench. Exactly what Mason Mount wouldn't want, given the opportunity, got in the first team, you know, with the new manager, a run of games, and to you know what, again, only 12 minutes into the game and having to come off this early. It's frustrating for him, but it's also frustrating for the team and the manager who thought this through the game today, the game plan of how to go about winning this game, and they having to make a change after 12 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, we didn't see what happened, if there was a coming together or whether it's just a pull or something like that, but he's sitting down, he's running his hands down the front of his legs.
I'd be amazed if he had to come off this early with just a knock. You know, he wouldn't have been able to give it time to run off, so it must be something else.
He's definitely leaving the field, so Kobbie Mainoo's going to come on to replace him here. So with only 12 minutes on the clock, I mean, I do feel for Mason Mount. He's played, this is only his 33rd competitive first team match for Manchester United.
You can tell what the squad feel about him, because they look as disappointed as he. Pretty much every one of them, except Maguire and Martinez, who are far away from it, every other one of them went up and consoled him, spoke to him, gave him a hug on his way off the pitch. So, you know, he's obviously a big character and a big part of this Manchester United dressing room, and they're all really disappointed for him.
Ruben Amorim there in that padded jacket, open-fronted. It's not as cold as I thought it would be this afternoon. and he's just rubbing his furrowed brow. That's it for Manchester United managers. You have to get used to a furrowed brow.
It means a change for United though. Now Kobbie Mainoo goes centrally, and Bruno Fernandes will sort of move out to that position that Mason Mount was occupying. So a different role now for Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, but that's a rough look for Mason Mount, having to go off or going down with only 12 minutes on the clock. Manchester City 0, Manchester United 0. So Kobbie Mainoo, another Stockport lad, is into the action here in the Manchester derby. Going to go to Hamden again in a moment, but Manchester City are on the attack with Matheus Nunes, who's actually slipping a ball infield nicely to Ilkay Gundogan. Remember his 12-second goal against Manchester United in the Cup final the year before last. Doku on the left-hand side. Doku, a little shimmy from him against Mazraoui, but this is not at great pace, this. Manchester City still with Gvardiol, then back to Doku, a flick infield. They enjoyed that just down in front of us. And then Mazraoui, with the challenge on Gvardiol, results in a free kick to Manchester City on the left wing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does get the ball, Mazraoui, but I think his follow-through connects with Gvardiol. But just before that, the skill from Jeremy Doku to drag it back away from Kobbie Mainoo and then flick it through Mazraoui's legs to his teammate Gvardiol was wonderful bit of skill. Certainly had everyone applauding on the everyone who's watching.
Free kick taken down the line by Manchester City. De Bruyne to Doku. Doku's cross took a couple of touches off Manchester United heads, and that has cleared it away out of the penalty area. Still 0-0. We'll go to Glasgow in a moment. In fact, we'll probably do it now because that has been horribly overhit by Gundogan all the way through for a goal kick. So it is 0-0. And so to Glasgow again, and Gavin Wallace.
John, Celtic 0, Rangers 1. By the way, just at half-time, Trusty come off for Liam Scales, who, by the way, had a really good chance just wide. It was a ball in from Bernardo, a free kick. Scales up for the header. It just went wide, then Rangers went up the park again. Taylor dispossessed. Barami does all the hard work. Just couldn't get the shot right. It still remains Celtic 0, Rangers 1.
0-0 here in Manchester. As Amad Diallo beats Matheus Nunes, just allowed the ball to run cleverly and dragged Matheus Nunes in. Now a pass down the line for Mazraoui, but Gvardiol will get there comfortably for Manchester City and chip it up towards Doku. Had De Ligt all over the back of him. The City supporters wanted a free kick, but nothing doing from referee Taylor.
It has to be a foul, that. Actually, he had his arm around his neck, he was all over him, leaning on him. Had to be a foul. He's gotten away. He's trying to let things go, Anthony Taylor, trying not to give free kicks unnecessarily, but I thought that should have been one.
Bruno Fernandes with a pass out to the right-hand side, but it kicked up off the turf, didn't it? And Amad Diallo did well just to keep it in play, but that meant Matheus Nunes was going to be able to come in quickly and clear it away. Big afternoon for him, Matheus Nunes, now in this specific role when, let's be honest about it, he hasn't really pulled up any trees so far at Manchester City since his move from Wolves.
No, and it's, he's going to start. You see, when City are in possession, he moves into midfield or even further advanced out of possession. He's going into that left-back position up against...
Mazraoui's misplaced pass. Doku very nearly found the ball through, but it was just blocked by De Ligt, and Haaland was waiting there. If he'd been able to find that ball through Doku there for Erling Haaland, he would have been one-on-one. That was after the careless pass initially from Mazraoui to lose it. Mainoo couldn't get there. So Manchester City come again. They've been slightly raised by that, the home supporters, as they attack from right to left. Foden now on the left-hand side. Foden's ball in, Maguire's across. He heads it away, chested down almost on the bottom of his throat by De Bruyne, who is able to get away from Mazraoui. It's very congested there on the edge of the penalty area. Mainoo forces Phil Foden away. That's how it used to be in the old days. You'd have genuine Mancunian matchups all over the pitch, wouldn't you, in past times? But you do still have that with Mainoo and Foden, and City go back to the halfway line as we go back to Glasgow, because Gavin,
Greg Taylor may well have been having a nightmare, but he's just resumed himself. He's scored from the 18-yard box, albeit it takes a deflection off Robin Proper. The ball comes in from Bernardo on the corner. Taylor takes it on the volley with his left. It's now Celtic 1, Rangers 1.
So the equaliser for Celtic. Still goalless. Almost 20 minutes played here, and the Manchester United supporters now in good voice. So far in the match, Ruben Amorim's team has given as good as it's got, but Manchester City are assuming a bit of control here as Doku runs at Mazraoui and very nearly found a way past. Mazraoui just got something on that to deflect it out of play for a City throw just down to our left, over the top of all of the heads of the people, many of them very warmly wrapped up. Phil Foden now back to Gvardiol. The ball finds its way to Kyle Walker. I have to say, I couldn't believe it when I heard that Kyle Walker had been receiving, racist posts on social media after the match the other night. When you think of, who knows where they're coming from and the people that are behind them, I suppose that's it, isn't it? But, when you think of what he's contributed to Manchester City, the club captain.
I don't think it matters what he contributes, and it's disgusting.
Wherever it comes from. Here's Doku. Doku very nearly found the ball through towards Haaland, who I think might have been offside, as United were able to prevent it finding a way through anyway. Mazraoui now into the centre circle to Bruno Fernandes. Could have gone for the long pass there for Dalot, but decided just to pass it along the halfway line. And so Martinez now to Højlund. Højlund is holding off Diaz and then turns, comes in field, gives it back to Bruno Fernandes, square from him. Kobbie Mainoo then taps it back to Martinez. Dalot's available on the left-hand side. Manchester United just probing gently here the Manchester City defence, this defence that has been unusually porous over the course of this poor run of theirs. Manchester City now though with it again on the edge of the box.
And considering that, I'm really surprised that Manchester United, that's the third occasion they've actually worked the ball up to the edge of the penalty area really well, and then they're reluctant to put it in there. City have not got too many defenders, and they're just happy to play it around the edge of the penalty area until they eventually give it away. So
now it's De Bruyne who carries it forward, gives it to Doku, then back to De Bruyne, the two Belgian internationals together. Doku takes on Mazraoui, left-footed cross to the back post. Dalot's there to head it away, comes out to Foden, volleys it and shoots wide. Just knocked it up for the volley, but dragged it wide. Hands on his head. The player of the year last season. Incredibly, really, that he still hasn't scored in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, no surprise it's come from Jeremy Doku getting at Mazraoui, getting down the byline and putting it in with his left foot, headed out to the edge of the penalty area, and Phil Foden picks it up quite nicely, chests it with his first touch, connects really well as it lands on his left foot, but always pulling it past that near post. He did have Onana worried for a moment. You can tell by a goalkeeper's reaction whether he's comfortable it's going wide or worried. He was worried for a moment.
Yes, I was like you, Leon. When I saw that reaction from him, for an instant there, you did wonder whether it was going to nestle into the bottom corner, but just wide from Phil Foden. 3 goals this season, but all of them coming in the Champions League. Not played in the last 3. He said he had bronchitis, Pep Gvardiol. So it's a wonder, really, he's back as quickly as he is. But no, yet to score. This is his 11th Premier League appearance of the season, Phil Foden. But he won't get much closer without it finding the back of the net, as United and Amad Diallo, who's been really bright for them so far, takes it over the halfway line, gives it to Højlund, but the touch was heavy from the Dane, with Diaz on his shoulder, and Manchester City back in possession. And another goal in the cup final in Glasgow. Gavin.
Celtic do what Celtic do, John. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 1. Rangers getting things all mixed up at the back. Raskin tried to head it back. Dyson Maeda was there, latched onto it, took it down and slotted underneath Jack Butland. Celtic 2, Rangers 1.
And that was a 3:30 kickoff there. Still Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0 in the 3 o'clock start in the league. Manchester City 0-0 here with Manchester United. Manchester United just on the back foot now as Walker passes it forward towards Gundogan. Now Kevin De Bruyne, low and in, and then Haaland back to Foden in the area, shoots, deflected wide of the near post from where he was, and again hands on the head from Foden. Makes me think back to England in the summer, the number of times I saw him with his hands on his head.
Yeah, good sharp play that though for Manchester City, right through the middle. People getting turned makes such a difference. Gundogan initially, good ball by Kevin De Bruyne, little 1-2 on a step over from Foden and Haaland, but Manchester United recovered well. They got just enough bodies around the ball. Maguire slowed him down, Martinez made the tackle.
So corner then to Manchester City, and it comes, and Diaz was there to get his head to it, but he was slightly underneath it. Maguire did well actually as well, and in the end, arriving at pace, he just sort of headed it up and over the crossbar. Goal kick.
He tried to do too much actually. Even Diaz, he was so close to the goal, he's probably about 4 yards out. He only needed to sort of glance it, and he tried to throw his whole header at the ball. He was never going to be able to keep control of a finish in that way. We're just seeing a replay of Højlund and Haaland are coming together at the back post. Haaland trying to get away at the corner kick, Hoyland not even watching the ball, looking at the opposite corner flag before they're having a wrestling match, and Anthony Taylor's actually in the picture looking at the situation. I'm sure they'll keep an eye on that again for the next corner.
Honestly, Leon, with the best will in the world, I mean, who was the aggressor there? That was impossible to tell, wasn't it? If ever you need an example of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Denmark against Norway, all they needed there were a couple of horned helmets. Here's Menu, ball from the right-hand side, but it was cleared away by Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box. De Ligt was being put under pressure by Erling Haaland, and Manchester United keep possession and play it back towards Harry Maguire in the centre circle. Yep. So far under Ruben Amorim, with all of his various changes, only 3 of them have started all of the matches under the new head coach, and this is only match number 7. De Ligt, Bruno Fernandes and Onana. Diogo Dalot back to Bruno Fernandes, the captain, who just finds Ugarte behind him, who used to play for Amorim at Sporting in Lisbon. Martinez now. Martinez just moves away from Haaland. Pep Guardiola just throws his arms up in the air, just in my eye line as I watch him do that, and then hands on his hips as Maguire all the way across from the centre circle to Mazraoui, and then Kobbie Mainoo is there, having come on as a substitute in the 13th minute. Kobbie Mainoo, the man who scored the second goal in the FA Cup final, and then it's played through by Ugarte to Amadello, who dragged the shot wide. But the offside flag was up, and even if he'd been able to find the bottom corner, it would have been ruled out. Pulled his shirt up over his face, but it was a free kick to Manchester City. And right decision, Leon?
Yeah, I think just about the right decision. Ruben Diaz spotting that he wouldn't have been able to defend Amad Diallo in that position, so he just stepped up at the last moment to play him offside. But that was better from Manchester United. A bit of purpose to their play, a bit of desire to go and place somebody into a dangerous position. And actually, yes, Manchester City played the offside trap well, but United will be pleased at how they got through that.
So have Burnley won it at Carrow Road? Paul Scott.
They have. It's finished Norwich 1, Burnley 2. Burnley up to 3rd in the Championship, 1 point behind the top 2. They had to do it the hard way coming from behind. Jose Cordoba put Norwich ahead inside the opening 60 seconds. His first goal in professional football. Zian Fleming with a belter made it 1-1 before the captain Josh Brownhill completed the scoring. 2-1 Burnley win.
Mateus Nunes, misplaced pass. Ugarte then gives it to Bruno Fernandes. Now Manchester United not exactly full tilt as they come forward, and in fact Manchester City have got everyone back into position now behind the ball. Kobbie Mainoo back near the centre circle. Mention the fact Kobbie Mainoo scored in the FA Cup final against them. Of course Garnacho did as well. Garnacho scored against Manchester City in the Community Shield match at the start of the season, also when City ended up winning on penalties in the end. The late equaliser by Bernardo Silva, and a free kick is correctly given by the assistant to Manchester City. Classic footballers, Leon, even though we clearly saw the ball deflect off Mazraoui.
Don't put us all in the one bracket, John.
I'm sorry, I'm putting you all in the one.
I was certainly one of them, though.
Really?
Yeah,
you surprised me. As the assistant got it absolutely right. Mateus Nunes, and then Gundogan back to Kyle Walker, who look over there to the far side to Kevin De Bruyne. The thing is as well, in this system that Manchester City are playing, which is it's almost like a 3-2-4-1, it doesn't have to ask a lot of Kevin De Bruyne to cover the ground as well. When people talk about his ageing legs, as Mateus Nunes wins a throw-in halfway inside his own half, 33 years old now. I mean, listen, Leon, you've been in this position when you're reaching the point where
I can only wish to be that age now, John.
Well, but I mean, do you know in your heart when the time is coming and when you aren't as potent as you used to be?
Yeah, I think your heart knows before your head knows. I don't think your head realises initially.
As Bernardo Silva now on a run into the penalty area, still going, but in comes the challenge. Good one as well from Bruno Fernandes, and it's cleared away out to play on the far side by Onana. And I should point out, I'm not suggesting that the end is nigh for Kevin De Bruyne, far from it, but you know, the point is being made about the overall age of these Manchester City players, many of them. Here's another one of them, İlkay Gündoğan, at the age of 34, as Manchester United recapture possession on the edge of their own box. Played forward by Dalot up towards Højlund, who this time was wrestling with Walker. Ruben Dias comes round behind Walker and thumps it forward, and Harry Maguire ends up on the ground because he's been shoved over by Erling Haaland. Free kick, Manchester United.
I don't think it was the strongest of nudges from Erling Haaland, but it was an obvious one. Arm in his back, right in front of the referee. Harry Maguire felt it coming and happily went to his knees. Referee right on hand. But I think Manchester United are working hard defensively. I think they're trying to make sure they don't give Manchester City spaces to get going or play the ball into certain areas of the field. I think Manchester United will be okay, will be happy at the moment, but I think that if they could just be a little bit more positive when they get the ball, if they could have a little bit more desire to go and play someone through, I think they could create more chances.
Yeah, we've seen a glimpse of it, haven't we? But Amad Diallo on both occasions caught offside. But other than that, Ederson has not yet had a save to make. It's actually been a half hour of few chances, as Ederson, reversing towards the edge of his 6-yard box after receiving it from Diaz, has to volley it away downfield. Full time as well in the Kilmarnock Hearts game, and Kilmarnock have won it 1-0 despite having a man sent off in only the 6th minute, so played most of the game with 10 men. They've beaten bottom of the table Hearts 1-0. Still Celtic 2, Rangers 1, after Rangers were in front in the League Cup final, as Manchester City, with Kyle Walker, are able to enter Manchester United territory, and then Kyle Walker goes all the way back to Ederson on the edge of the box. The Five Live podcast, You'll Never Beat Kyle Walker, continues to churn out new ones, and you'll find them on BBC Sounds alongside all of BBC's live radio. Ederson, long from him, over the top of Haaland, and that will just bounce through to Onana at the other end of the ground. It's not unlike the Juventus match the other night.
I think that's the sign of where Manchester City are at the moment. I think Ederson had the ball at the back. The two centre-halves mostly split, but Manchester United got themselves in a decent position, so they never really demanded the ball. No one really moved up front, and in the end, Manchester City, Ederson plays it long, everybody misses it, and Onana ends up with the ball. Very unlike City.
Mazraoui is giving it away to Haaland, who first time to Doku. Doku now with the ball on the ground, running at Mazraoui. He tried to flick it there, another flick to Kevin De Bruyne, but that one didn't come off. Mateus Nunes, quick feet from him, but Gvardiol was dispossessed by Ugarte, and Manchester United could be away on the counter-attack. Amad Diallo now was looking for the early pass, but the ball was caught up underneath his feet, so he couldn't find the ball in to Højlund, who was waiting for it. Now Ugarte, 25 yards out. They wanted him to have a go at goal. He's not a natural goal scorer. He gives it to Martinez. Martinez now low and across the penalty area, half cleared out to Menu. He went down, wanted the free kick, and then Ugarte does have a go at goal. And that probably tells us why he didn't do it in the first place, because it was wide and high, probably by 15 yards into the lower tier of the stand.
Yeah, he had more time when the ball fell to him the first occasion, and he never looked like he wanted to take the shot on. He never looked like he wanted to actually try and play a pass either. He was always looking to just lay it off to somebody else. He went left, and Martinez then tried to do something himself. It was a good initial counter-attack from Manchester United, but the supporting cast was Ugarte and Dalot, rather than, maybe if they had more attacking players on the pitch, you support him with a, well, no, they're not here today, but a Rashford and a Garnacho getting over to them positions. It feels kind of different.
Yeah, as the ball bounces up, City fans wanted a handball against Højlund, but as he challenged Gündoğan, but nevertheless, Mateus Nunes is away down the left-hand side, the number 27. Mateus Nunes infield, 27-17 to Kevin De Bruyne, but then Manchester United's number 37 is able to block the progress of that pass, Menu, and then the ball from Bruno Fernandes is deflected out of play behind Amad Diallo. Yes, there is a 606 tonight on 5 Live, the UK's most popular football phone-in. They'll be taking your calls, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, on the Manchester derby, but clearly there will be further discussion and talk about the omission of Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, and I'm sure that will be a talking point tonight. You can book your call now, hashtag BBC 606 or text 85058, and I'll let you know when the lines are open. It's on a little later tonight, actually at 7 o'clock or thereabouts, so 606 to come. And obviously Wolves supporters as well. What next for Wolverhampton Wanderers after Gary O'Neill left the club earlier today. Manchester City 0, Manchester United 0. United going back to Onana, so going to go back to the League Cup final. And Gavin Wallace.
71 minutes on the clock, John. Celtic 2, Rangers 1. Vlatko Černý from range, just in an effort. Schmeichel saved well to his left. I feel there might still be something for Rangers in this as we head 20 minutes or so towards the end of this match. Celtic 2, Rangers 1.
We're into the last 15 minutes of the first half here at the Etihad Stadium on the east side of Manchester, as Mazraoui gets the ball down and plays it forward to Amad Diallo, who's running with the ball, then stabs it infield with the outside of his boot to Kobbie Mainoo. Back to Amad Diallo, goes for the shot, hit it low and left-footed, but it was blocked by Ruben Diaz. Didn't really have the pace on it that he wanted on his left foot. But that is an effort for Manchester United. De Ligt now with a crossfield pass, but Walker's underneath that with a header. But Bruno Fernandes is going to be dispossessed by Bernardo Silva, and then Bruno Fernandes tackled from behind, caught Bernardo Silva, took him down. They are baying for a yellow card from Anthony Taylor. I must say, on one view, I felt they had a case. It looks like it's a free kick and a free kick only.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look great from the angle that you see it at, but I think Bruno Fernandes is running down one side. I think Dalot's running down the other side of Bernardo Silva, and he knows he's about to be outpaced, does Bernardo Silva. So as Bruno Fernandes making the tackle, he tries to step across, wins the free kick. I think that's enough.
Doku, but Haaland and Maguire are pushing and shoving one another inside the penalty area, off the ball, and then Doku goes to drive it across, takes a deflection off Mazraoui, and it's a corner. I mean, that was more than pushing and shoving from Maguire and Haaland together. You know, his arms up, pushing in the chest.
Yeah, well, the referee's tried to not call those decisions today. He's tried to let them get on with it, a bit of grappling, a bit 6-1, as you said, with the earlier grappling in the penalty area. 6-1, half a dozen of the other. But he knows where that incident is now with Højlund and Haaland at the back, I'm sure.
But I think Maguire...
I think he's going to go have a chat with them.
Yeah, those two are together, Højlund and Haaland. But that was risky by Maguire in his own penalty area, while players continuing to get involved in that kind of thing with Haaland. Still 0-0. Corner is taken short now. De Bruyne gets it back, drives it across with a deflection, and then it's headed in! Gvardiol is there! That little deflection landed it perfectly in the path of Gvardiol. That's a big break for Manchester City, but they will take that in the form that they've been in. It's the opening goal in the derby, and it's gone to City. 1-0.
Oh, it's a great header from Gvardiol, and brilliant timing from him to arrive at the top of your leap as the ball comes in, especially when it's took a deflection, and then be able to guide it inside that United goal, because he didn't really head it, he just let the power that was on the cross guide it into that far post. But, you know, you call it good play, you call it fortunate. Manchester City try and take a short corner. Kevin De Bruyne plays it to the corner of the penalty area for Gundogan. And Gundogan actually gives him a poor pass back to it. He underhits it, meaning Kevin De Bruyne is pretty much going in for a tackle with Amad Diallo. And as he does, the tackle then just loops the ball up into that Manchester United penalty area, probably 6, maybe 7 yards out. And the loop on the ball means United players can't really do much about it. It comes down so steeply with all of that top spin that Dalot just backpedaling, full stretch, he just can't reach it. Gvardiol arrives right on cue, guides his header brilliantly. Manchester City are ahead.
Well, when you're in the kind of run that Manchester City are in, just one win in their last 10, 7 defeats, and now a free kick to Manchester United, but Højlund has got himself involved in a bit of pushing and shoving. A Manchester City player is on the ground there. It's Kyle Walker. Højlund shoved over Kyle Walker, and now almost all of the players, including the 2 goalkeepers, are all there together. You could throw a blanket over them and just now milling around. Walker remains on the field. For some reason, Andrea Nana feels that he's had to run 3/4 of the length of the pitch to get involved in this, and it depends what Anthony Taylor is going to do. And Ederson actually is involved as well, and he is going to Harry Maguire, but it was Højlund with Walker. I can see a yellow card in the hand of Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what he saw. I mean, Højlund initially was infuriated, I think, by the challenge that was on him initially, and once he sort of, Kyle Walker, he's going to win the ball in the air, Hoyland, from the goalkeeper's kick. The ball's going to land on Ruben Diaz. Hoyland runs from where Kyle Walker was, and as he's running across full speed, Kyle Walker just trips him up. Hoyland goes flying onto the floor, gets up furious, runs over to him furious. They put heads on each other. I don't think it was much of a heads. I think there's just a touch.
They almost rubbed heads.
Yeah,
the two of them were
heads. And
were so close, and their heads connected.
I think you're disappointed at the way Kyle Walker goes to ground there.
Yeah.
Because yes, Hoyland went up to each other. Yes, Kyle Walker stood his ground. I didn't see Hoyland throwing the head or really doing more than that. Kyle Walker just went to ground like players do, and obviously straight back up on his feet now. He's took a yellow card, whether it was for the initial trip. Hoyland's took a yellow card for storming over to Kyle Walker, and then obviously it all went off with people getting involved. But yeah, I'm disappointed with the way Kyle Walker went to ground there.
Yeah, the two of them, as I said, the heads came together. They were right in one another's faces to the point where the heads actually started touching, remained touching, and then Walker suddenly threw himself to the ground, holding his face. It was not a great look from the Manchester City captain. Free kick, Bruno Fernandes in, Hoyland heads it down, it's rattling around, Ederson dives down to his left, and it rolls past the foot of the post. And referee Taylor says it took a touch off a Manchester City player last, which is being very hotly disputed by all of those men in sky blue shirts, but the referee Taylor says no, he's adamant, it's a corner.
Yeah, it was a dangerous set piece that from Manchester United. You've got De Ligt and Maguire competing for the first one. Ricochet, I think it does hit Kobbie Mainoo on the shins, but United to get the corner.
Bruno Fernandes takes it to the near post, and then it's cleared away on the volley by Jeremy Doku. Comes out to Amad Diallo. Manchester City are leading 1-0 here, and then De Ligt tries to turn the ball back, and Foden is going to clear it away to the halfway line. I think we need to go back to Hampden and to Gavin Wallace.
John, remember how I told you that I thought something was still in this for Rangers? They've just equalised. Mohamed Diomande does really well. It was a short corner, and then Hamza Egeman plays it, and Diomande falling back, takes it down, wraps his right foot round it and put it beyond Schmeichel. 10 minutes to go, Celtic 2, Rangers 2.
So 2-2 at Hampden. Extra time could be beckoning there as Manchester United are caught offside, and the yellow cards for Hoyland and Walker given in referee speak, Leon, for adopting an aggressive attitude. I think that would be fair.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm glad that the referee saw through it all and thought a yellow card was enough as well. It was much ado about nothing. It was, yes, I actually thought that the worst part of that was the Kyle Walker trip at the beginning. So I could understand Hoyland's frustration at running full speed and just being tripped up with the clip of the ankles. So yeah, I understand that. What followed was, everybody getting involved unnecessarily, but it came once Kyle Walker went to ground.
So Manchester City are leading after that Gvardiol goal in I think it was the 37th minute. I made it. That's his 4th goal of the season, from scoring his first one in the Bernabeu in the quarter-final against Real Madrid last season. He's actually been prolific as Onana now has to play the ball away. Maguire on the full. De Bruyne goes for goal from way out on the right-hand side. He sensed that Onana was out of position, but the goalkeeper had managed to get himself back and was able to catch it.
Yeah, he was right to take it on though, Kevin De Bruyne. He's the one person you want that ball falling to. Yes, it was on the touchline, probably about 40 yards of carry he had to make, and Onana scrambling back to his goal, but just didn't get the loft on it. Probably got the direction right, but once Onana was going back towards his own goal, easy to take it in his chest.
There's a ball on the field. We've got 2 balls on the pitch at the moment. It's free kick to Manchester City for the offside decision, and by reaching 4 goals, Gvardiol this season becomes Manchester City's 2nd top scorer after Haaland. We were talking about this when Gary Cahill was with us on Wednesday night. They had 6 players all on 3 goals, and obviously Haaland away ahead of the rest on 18, but he's broken free of the pack.
Yeah, and again, he's just one of those players that has got brilliant time and brilliant awareness, and just seeing a replay of the goal there, as that deflection happens, he picks up the flight of the ball quicker than anybody else around him. He adjusts his feet and his stride pattern probably a second or 2 before anybody else, which means he's done that to score the goal.
Kobbie Mainoo forward for Diallo, who is in an offside position. So it's another free kick to Manchester City. This high line is working.
If United get this right, there's opportunities here. Manchester City will say, and they are right at the moment, they're playing the offside line brilliantly. But if you play this high, this often, this aggressively against a team that's got the pace of a Højlund and a Amad Diallo who want to run in behind, if you start getting that timing right, and I'm sure Ruben Amorim will be saying that in the second half, let's even midfield runners, because it's very hard to play a midfield runner offside, that the opportunity to play someone through is there.
Manchester City in front. They've won 5 of their last 6 matches against Manchester United in the Premier League. Remember the 6-3 when Haaland and Foden scored the hat-tricks. I mean, that was an annihilation. Haaland took the ball away from Ugarte, but the referees brought it back for a foul by Haaland on Ugarte, which has riled the locals, but it's a free kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, I thought that was generous. I thought it looked shoulder to shoulder, especially with what he's allowed to play and play out today. Anthony Taylor, it might have just been slightly into his back, but you know, he's let a lot of things go today, Anthony Taylor, but not that one.
I should say it riled some of the locals. Some of the locals would be very relieved. Here is Dalot, Manchester United have to come from behind, but as I say, they did that in the week, and the ball is just kept in by Bruno Fernandes. And now Bruno Fernandes again. There'll be 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half, which is, it's not been interstellar, has it, the first half? But Manchester City won't be bothered about that, having got that headed goal from Gvardiol in what was actually timed as the 36th minute that it found the back of the net. Walker clears up towards Kevin De Bruyne, who is tussling with Martinez, and the ball is out of play for a throw-in to the home side.
Yeah, it's not blown us away this first half. There's not been a number of goalkeeper saves, to be honest. It's not been chance after chance or really open football like we thought it would be. It has been intriguing. You can see the way they're tactically trying to beat each other. They're trying to get the advantage. I can see how both teams are trying to score today, especially Manchester United, but yeah, City will be happy if it goes into half-time at this scoreline. Yeah,
as Manchester City win a free kick, Ugarte, as it was played down the right, Kevin De Bruyne ending up on the ground again. Free kick to Manchester City on the right. And of course the big decision coming with the announcement of the team news earlier, with Garnacho and Rashford completely left out by Ruben Amorim today. When you're coming away to play your closest rivals in the same city, that's a really big decision to do that. Obviously 2 potentially potent weapons in your armoury. Marcus Rashford, who has scored 3 goals so far and under the management of Amorim, although Garnacho just the one, but even so, free kick to City then. Kevin De Bruyne has swung that. Oh my goodness. Well, you don't often see that from Kevin De Bruyne. He got that all wrong and just lifted it, swirled it high over the whole penalty area and the far post, and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, and I think you could tell by the groan in the stadium, the surprise there. Nobody expecting that. Yes, you can under-hit it, you can, get it off direction, but that was everything wrong.
Nana had to be quick there in the 6-yard box. Haaland was arriving, but he just in time was able to pass it away out into the left-back position, but then that's given away by Dalot. Phil Foden's onto this. Foden back to Mateus Nunes, back into the centre circle. Nunes had to be sharp there against Bruno Fernandes. Now Kyle Walker sets off on a run away from Bruno Fernandes, then checks back and uses the available İlkay Gundogan, and then Foden and Gvardiol and Foden, and they've played their way out of the Manchester United pressing there, and Mateus Nunes is now running at De Ligt 25 yards out. He's forced to play it further back to Foden, and İlkay Gundogan again just to his right to Kyle Walker, and then Gvardiol with a touch through to Foden. Mateus Nunes has found some space, and then Jeremy Doku again with a chance to run at Mazraoui, who's reversing, and then the left-footed cross towards the back post. Dalot just got there. Bernardo Silva was leaping very high. City back with it. Foden does well. Beats Ugarte. Low shot. Oh, it's just wide of the foot of the right post as Onana dived down and got a glove to it. Corner.
Yeah, brilliant footwork from Phil Foden. Now, so often in previous seasons we've seen him in this position, edge of the penalty area, on the half turn or back to goal. Brilliant first touch, the way he can dribble past several Manchester United players. The shot actually takes a deflection off the inside left heel of Harry Maguire, which is what makes Onana have to scramble right the way across of his goal. It may or may not have been sneaking in, but he had to make the save at full stretch.
Brilliant play from Foden. That was the Phil Foden of the last season, when he was so good, so often, for so long. Corner is taken short by City to Doku, by De Bruyne. De Bruyne gets it back onto his left foot, takes on Martinez, and then shoved over. That's a free kick to Manchester City in the Manchester United right back area, and it might not be extra time to come in Glasgow. Gavin Wallace.
Potentially not, John, as Celtic have just went 3-2 up. Nicholas Kuhn started the move. He slid Arnie Engels over on the right, who then cut it back just at the penalty spot for the German to slot home to the empty net. It is Celtic 3, Rangers 2, with 3 minutes to go.
3 minutes to go. We've got... we've already had our 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half here. 5 Live on the World Service from the BBC, live from the Manchester derby, where the defending Premier League champions have their noses in front, and a free kick here. I would think this will be the last action of the first half. It's the free kick from the full-back position. De Bruyne plays it out to the edge of the box. Ugarte just allows it to run. And there we are. There is the whistle. And so they are separated at the end of a first half of few chances by that headed goal from Gvardiol, from De Bruyne's deflected cross that landed right on his forehead, Leon Osman.
Yeah, and I think Manchester City will be delighted to be ahead. If it had gone in at level at half-time, I'd probably say, yeah, that's probably the way the game has gone. Neither team's really done enough to be ahead in the game, but you take your chances if they come to you, like Gvardiol has done, and you can get yourself a much-needed advantage for Manchester City. They're the team that I feel is needing the confidence. They're the team that need to come out of here with the result. They're the team that need, even with a bit of luck, to win this game today. And if that's the goal that does it, that could be a turning point in their season.
Yeah, a setback for Manchester United to lose Mason Mount to injury early in the half, as has been much talked about over the course of the past few days. Manchester City have been very porous over the course of these 10 matches, just the one clean sheet, but that was in the last home match when they won 3-0 against Nottingham Forest. But Manchester United certainly won't have given this up yet. City, though, in front. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0 at half-time. And Steve Crossman is here with us inside the stadium.
Well, one derby is definitely delivering today to Hampden. Gavin Wallace.
Well, Rangers certainly are not giving up. Danilo is just on the part. Vlakov Cherny in that far right-hand side plucks a ball in. Danilo up above the Celtic defence, heads home. 1 minute plus time to go. Celtic 3, Rangers 3, Steve.
Heading to extra time at Hampden, or are we? We've had 2 goals in the last couple of minutes, just one in the first half here at the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City lead Manchester United by a goal to 0. And what a good header it was, Leon Osman. The timing is great, just getting there is great, but it was death too at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Ruben Diaz had an opportunity from the opposite side about 10 or 15 minutes before, from a good delivery put into that area, and he tried to go for power despite not needing it, tried to throw his whole body, his whole neck, everything into the header. Gvardiol's just got something in front of goal. He's got an instinct. He's got striker's instinct, to be honest. Yes, he's a defender and a good player, but some people, when they get in and around the opposition's goal, the decision-making becomes right. Things become clear and calm, and Gvardiol's one of them. There's no doubt about it. And as that ball comes in, I said he figured out the flight of it quite quickly with the adjustment pattern of his feet compared to everyone else. But that's one thing. That's one difficult part. The next thing is guiding it towards the goal. He didn't try and put any power on it. He just used his neck muscles, basically straightened his head out and let it hit his head and just guided it into the goal. Onana couldn't do anything about it. It was so close to him, and yeah, that's the difference in the game.
Into stoppage time now at Hampden, 6 minutes of it, and it is still Celtic 3, Rangers 3. So it looks like extra time is on the cards. We'll bring you reaction to the early game in the Premier League shortly as well. Finished Brighton 1, Crystal Palace 3. We'll speak to Robbie Savage ahead of 6:06, which, remember, starts at the later time of 7 o'clock. When the full-time whistle goes here at the Etihad, we'll stay live here for half an hour and hopefully bring you lots of live reaction whatever happens in the Manchester derby. By the time we're back from the news, we might have the full-time whistle at Hampden Park. Here's Giuliano Casadei.
the voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Foreign Secretary says the British government has made contact with the Syrian rebel group that toppled President Assad last week. David Lammy says Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS for short, remains a proscribed terrorist organisation, but the UK, he says, can have diplomatic contact. Police have urged the driver of a stolen Porsche to come forward after the car was involved in a hit-and-run crash that killed a 2-year-old boy. 4 adults who were travelling with the boy in a Toyota are being treated in hospital for injuries after the collision in Smethwick in the West Midlands. The Israeli government has approved a plan to expand settlements in the occupied Golan Heights. The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says it's necessary because of what he calls the new front that's opened up in Syria. Police say they've dealt with a number of violent incidents in Glasgow city centre this afternoon ahead of that Scottish League Cup final between Celtic and Rangers at Hampden. Missiles were thrown at officers who have been given additional stop and search powers. And Gary O'Neill's been sacked as the manager of Wolves, who are 5 points from safety in the Premier League relegation zone.
On BBC Sounds, Sporting Giants. Delve deep into the lives and careers of some of the biggest names in sport. And hear from those who know them best, including Pep Guardiola.
He is looking always for the perfection.
Andy Murray.
It was something that he'd worked towards all of his career.
And Kylian Mbappe.
When I saw him the first time play, I said, we have Pelé here.
Sporting Giants.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Well, we're live at the Etihad, but let's go live straight back to Hampden Park. Gavin Wallace.
We've still got about 3 minutes to go, and we've had 3 goals in 13 minutes. This has been Sun's second half. Celtic 3, Rangers 3. That last goal there on 88 coming from Danilo. A great ball in, deep cross in from Czerny. The sub had just been on the park a couple of minutes, and he heads home. We are hurtling to extra time. It's 3 each.
Thank you very much, Gavin. We will keep you right up to date. There's also commentary on BBC Radio Scotland. Earlier this afternoon, Brighton were beaten 3-1 by Crystal Palace, leaving them without a win in 4 games, with 2 goals in the first 5 minutes, which did for Fabian Özil's side.
Yeah, I think it changed momentum, and till that moment I think we controlled it. We had chances, but then after that goal we lost a little bit our structure, and Palace used it, and then we showed a good reaction in the second half. But we have to see this as a lesson. We have to be self-critical and honest to each other that it was not enough to win a Premier League game.
You did have that spell start of the second half. You made the change and it appeared you were coming back into it.
Yeah, I think we had the chance, but we weren't use our momentum, and we weren't able to shoot a goal in this period. I think that would help and change the dynamic, but we weren't able. So was tough the longer the game was going on, and in these moments where you have the chances, we should use them. But in general, I think it's more important to keep looking on the defense, that we are not conceding that many goals. Some days you can't explain, some days you have to accept. A lot of things today went against us, and that's sometimes football, and these things you have to accept.
That's Fabian Özil with Andy Gillies. So Palace go up to 15th. They're unbeaten in their last 5 matches. And Andy also spoke to their manager, Oliver Glasner.
Yeah, a good performance today, and especially the players did their job today. Yeah, we knew that struggled a little bit the first 10 minutes and the first 15 after half-time. Just changed the system to 3-5-2. We didn't get pressure on the ball, but all the other minutes we did really well, defending very compact, giving them many situations, and always being threatening them in defense. We knew they play very high, they play man-to-man in defense, so if we go very direct, we will get our chances, and we took them today. And so I think it was a good performance. I don't know if it was the best, but I'm pretty sure we need a better performance at the Emirates to win there.
You'll be aware how much a win at Brighton means to Crystal Palace fans.
Oh yes, we prepared the whole week like for any other Premier League game. But today we talked about it, and our fans they were always supporting us, and especially at the start of the season where we didn't get the results and we lost games, but they always were behind us and supported us. And so I said to the players today, maybe it's the opportunity to give them a little bit back and a Christmas gift. And the players are great characters, so they gave the gift to the fans, and so they can enjoy it. And we also enjoy it with a very, very positive feeling. But also told the players now after the game, it's the preparation for the Carabao quarter-final starts now.
That's Oliver Glasner. The full-time whistle has now gone at Hampden. Gavin.
It has indeed. 3 each. What a second half. Celtic 3, Rangers 3. We've had goals galore after what was a pretty lacklustre first half. 3 goals in 13 minutes, Steve, mean that this is going to go to extra time, and I still feel there could be 1 or maybe 2 goals in this. I look forward to giving you the updates as to who's going to win this. Will it be Celtic or will it be Rangers? It's 3 each. Extra time looming.
3 games this afternoon which mean absolutely everything to supporters. Brighton and Palace, Rangers and Celtic, and of course the Manchester derby here at the Etihad. So there'll be loads to get into for you on 606 08085 909 693. The lines are open now. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with you from 7. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon. What a day of football, Steve. More to come later as well. The Spurs playing.
Yeah, you've got 2 games, haven't you? Chelsea, Brentford as well, both going on. So there'll be live updates during 606. I imagine whatever happens in the next 30 minutes at Hampden and the next 45 where I'm sitting is probably going to dictate quite a lot.
Yeah, what a game in the League Cup final. Rangers getting that last minute equaliser. It won't be a great day for Chris, will it? If Rangers win, Norwich losing at home.
Be your best day ever, Robbie, if we're being honest, won't it? You'll have a field day.
It could be. Watford, Tom Cleverley doing a great job with Watford. Obviously the win for Palace, it's a great win. Manchester United, no Garnacho, no Rashford. What does that mean for those 2? City, if they win this, Steve, I said I think Liverpool will win the title. I went for City before the start of the season. If they win this, the confidence back. Can they win? I think they can still win the Premier League. They've got to play Liverpool at home, who are Liverpool's biggest challengers if City win this game. And as for United, I don't think, when was the last time they lost 3 in a row in the Premier League? I don't know what that stat is, I'm just throwing it out there, but it's a huge it's a huge 45 minutes. Not a great game, tactically, quite interesting, but the one goal from Gvardiol with a header, bit of luck from the corner, wasn't a great set piece routine, bit of deflection which helped it go into Gvardiol's path. And I just heard Leon saying the way he directed that header, it's a great header, all to play for, Steve, but who's going to come out on top?
I'm going to start calling your stats Ropta, which is Robbie Savage Opta. That's what I'm going for.
I don't know. I just when was the last time United lost 3 in a row in the Premier League? I don't know. It might have been last year. I don't know, but.
Well, we'll find out, Robbie. Someone will tell us, I'm sure.
John will. Hey, listen, I tell you what. The Chief will know. John will know. The Chief will know. He knows everything. The Chief will know.
Hello, Robbie.
You'll know. You'll know. The Chief will know. When was it, John?
Last time it happened in the same season was 2015. That they lost 3 league matches in a row when Louis van Gaal was the manager.
You go.
Not a bad start, that, John.
Very good. 08085 909 693.
Who told John
Rob?
that?
Robbie and Chris will be with you for 606 at 7 o'clock in the WSL. Manchester City haven't managed to capitalise on Chelsea dropping points yesterday. Lost 2-1 at Everton, who are now 4 points above Palace at the bottom. Here's Everton midfielder, player of the match, Sarah Ongard with Sarah Mulkerrins.
Well, Sarah, what a big win for your side this afternoon. How good does it feel, firstly?
It's amazing to get the 3 points and the win. We have struggled this season a bit to get the 3 points, so it was really, really, really important for us today. So just amazing.
The team defended brilliantly. You really got close to those Manchester City players all game. How much effort did it take?
Of course, it was a big effort for us, all the 11 players who was in. But it's tough to play those games. But we deserve it.
And how nice is it as well to score those 2 goals? And there were more opportunities, particularly in the first half, because that has been an aspect that your team has struggled with.
Yeah, it was nice that we literally create many chances today, and we could score more goals than 2. So it was nice to see that. Yeah, we can still create many chances, especially against a good City team.
That's Sarah Almsgaard. Arsenal a third, a point behind Manchester City after beating Liverpool 1-0 in St Helens this afternoon. Other WSL scores: Aston Villa 3, West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 1. England's women end the first day of their test against South Africa in Bloemfontein with a lead of 378. Centuries from Maya Bouchier and the fastest ever 100 in women's test cricket from Nat Siva-Brunt. Henry Moran was commentating for Sport Extra and spoke to Siva-Brunt on her record-breaking day.
Oh yeah, it was great fun. I got gifted a few 4 balls towards the start of my innings, so I got settled pretty quickly. So pretty happy with the day's work.
Do you think about sort of the pace and records and things as you're going through your innings? Were you aware of how quickly you were getting to those 3 figures?
No. The scoreboard here has only got the score on the board and our scores, so nothing about the balls or anything. I knew I did get a few 4 balls to start with, so I probably got off to a fairly quick start, and then getting to 3 figures. I guess it was in around 2 hours, so I've got no idea how many balls I faced.
Well, it was 128 off 145 in the end with 18 fours, I can tell you. But it felt as though the only way you were going to get out was the way that you did, run out at the non-striker's end. It felt like you were just in total control out there.
Yeah, I felt pretty settled. Really happy to sort of get into that flow and not be too, I guess, disjointed around the breaks and stuff, which is often what can happen. So I felt like I really was very switched on and mentally really present in the game.
That's Nat Siva-Brunt with Henry Moran. England's men, by the way, trail New Zealand by 340 runs heading into the third day of their final test. England have already won the series. Quick reminder in the news this afternoon, if you missed it, Wolves have sacked Gary O'Neill. BBC's Nick Mashiter's reporting Wolves in talks with the Al-Shabaab manager Vitor Pereira, hoping to conclude a deal early next week. And one other line, Oxford United sacked manager Des Buckingham after just over a year in charge. Later scores in the Champions Cup: full-time Benetton 22, Bath 21. It's also finished Stade Francais 17, Saracens 28. Another full-time, Toulon 30, Glasgow 29. Exeter Toulouse just underway on 5 Sports Extra. Extra time just underway on Radio Scotland in the Scottish League Cup final. Celtic 3, Rangers 3 at full time. Here at the Etihad, the Manchester United players are not just out, they're in formation ready to go. No sky blue on show at all. The only blue that there is the ground staff of Manchester City, who were mostly congregating on the left-hand side in front of us, which gives you a clue about how much of the ball Jeremy Doku had in that first half. City leading by 1-0. Correspondent John Murray, Leon Osman are with us. Leon, Manchester United have been there for ages now.
Yeah, and the referee, which says that it's Manchester City being delayed rather than Manchester United being out early. So, yeah, we're still waiting for them to come onto the pitch. Whether that's a tactic, whether that's something they want to do, make Manchester United wait, I'm sure we'll find out after the game. But they're certainly delayed and also still taking their time coming out from the tunnel. Wait until they're all together before they're finally emerging.
Might get a fine for that. We'll see. The Manchester City players have now rejoined us here at the Etihad Stadium. Remember, the line's open for 606 08085 909 693. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with you at 7 o'clock, because after the full-time whistle, we'll be staying live from the Etihad to reflect on the derby and bring you the best live reaction. Here we go then, John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Did you see as well, Leon, in the pictures that we had here on our little screen, that when they gathered outside the dressing room before they came down the steps to go out onto the pitch, Rodri was there in his jeans and his black jacket, rallying the troops.
Oh, how they wish he had a kit on.
Not jeans, not that sort of blue, not denim blue, sky blue. So 1-0 to Manchester City. Manchester United begin the second half. It's Kobbie Mainoo, the man who came on as a substitute in the first half for Manchester United, who plays the ball all the way back to Onana, and his long clearance downfield drops out of play. Just down in front of us on one of the many sponsors' names that is printed all around the playing surface. Throwing to Manchester City, who have Ederson in goal, and then at the back, Walker, Diaz and Gvardiol, with Mateus Nunes playing sometimes as a left back, but then into midfield with Gundogan. Then you have Bernardo Silva on the right, Jeremy Doku on the left, Foden and De Bruyne central, and Haaland through the middle. And here is Kobbie Mainoo for Manchester United, playing the ball to Bruno Fernandes, who goes back into his own half. And Manchester United with Onana in goal, De Ligt, Maguire and Martinez are their three central defenders. Mazraoui is the right wing back, Dalot on the left, and then since the change, Ugarte and Kobbie Mainoo in the middle with Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo and Rasmus Højlund. It's a big half for Manchester United. They couldn't get away, could they? They couldn't get an opportunity to beat Manchester City's back line, apart from the times when they were caught offside. Here's Højlund though, plays it back to Mazraoui. Mazraoui to Amad, and then his ball into Mainoo inside the penalty area, trying to dance his way into a position. Still going, Kobbie Mainoo, still going, and then the offside flag rather belatedly comes. So all of that, much ado about nothing, to return to one of the earlier themes of the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out exactly who was offside as Kobbie Mainoo burst forward into that position. So great footwork when they got in there. But there's two occasions, Manchester United, when they initially win the ball back, Højlund made a really good positive run, and Kobbie Mainoo decided not to attempt to play him in through on goal, turn back, and then they had an attacker about 30 seconds later on the left-hand side, and they always think about turning back and keeping the ball. Beating that Man City offside trap they had in the first half just sometimes require playing an early pass.
Yep. There's Haaland and Maguire tangling again, and eventually the ball at the feet of Onana, who actually clears it over the top of the head of Mazraoui and out of play for a throw-in to Manchester City over on the far side. And yes, again, if you just switched on, if you've been busy, which of course many people are, Leon, at this time of year, whether they're Christmas shopping or opening shops indeed.
Not during the Manchester derby.
No, surely not. Certainly not in this city. There's great sporting city. Manchester derby, one of the great days in the city of the year. Big over here as well, this side of the city. At the moment, Paul McCartney's playing in the big black arena just very close to here, as Gvardiol will play the ball left-footed towards the halfway line. Somebody told me earlier that tickets for Paul McCartney are going for £500 each. Which I was absolutely amazed by. As there's applause for John Stones, who's come out with the Manchester City substitutes. No one was expecting John Stones to be back and involved for Manchester City. And, if he is, then that is great news.
Yeah, and you wonder how ready he is, how available he is. Could he have started today? Does he need minutes? Is he going to be restricted? Will Pep try and ease him back in because of the issues they've had defensively and not wanting to rush someone back? So, yeah, I'm interested to keep an eye on John Stones over the coming weeks.
Manchester United with the ball inside their own half. No Rashford or Garnacho to call on, as the ball is played forward by Mazraoui for Højlund, but it runs away from him. Gvardiol, the goal scorer, got a touch on that, and here he is again, the very heavily bearded Josko Gvardiol. I think he's pictured on the front of the match programme today, but I'm not absolutely certain. It could be Ruben Amorim. Here's Bruno Fernandes now in the centre circle. Bruno Fernandes latching onto a loose ball, gives it to his right to Amad Diallo. In comes the challenge on him from Matheus Nunes. Still going though, tries a shot. It hits the back of the legs of Gvardiol, but then it deflects off Mazraoui, forward for Manchester United. And Bruno Fernandes has a look. He's challenged by Doku, and Doku actually has nipped the ball away from him, and then is in danger of losing it. Might have won a free kick, passes it to De Bruyne. De Bruyne then is dispossessed by Martinez, and then Manchester City are suddenly back in possession as Bernardo Silva. It's all ended by Ugarte barging into Bernardo Silva, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, halfway inside their own half. City continue to lead by 1-0. What's the news from the League Cup final with you, Gavin Wallace?
9 minutes played of extra time. It's still Celtic 3, Rangers 3. Not much in the way of chances yet, just as Rangers are about to break into the ball. James Tavernier! Oh, it just goes way over and will go out for a throw-in now. It's still 3 each.
Thank you, Gavin. Radio Scotland, if you are able to follow it that way via BBC Sounds for the commentary, as Bernardo Silva is fouled by Diogo Dalot, who thought he was away with the ball, but it's a free kick to City again, halfway inside their own half. And the choice of listening right now, the Exeter-Toulouse match, which was 0-0 last we saw, 5:30 kickoff, that is on Sports Extra tonight. NFL, Detroit against Buffalo Bills is on Sports Extra from 9 o'clock, and throughout the course of this coming week we will bring you commentary on the Carabao Cup quarter-finals on Wednesday and Thursday night. Big game for Manchester United at Tottenham on Thursday. 5 Live, the place to hear that. Newcastle, Brentford is the commentary match on Wednesday with Ian Dennis and Chris Waddle. I'm delighted to say they'll be together for that match. Are you going to one of those this week, Leon? One of the Carabao Cup times?
No, but I will watch them. Sean, I think it's a great stage of the competition. Nice little moment just before Christmas when we can all settle down.
I thought you might have had other things to do, but obviously not. The throw-in for Manchester City. Down the right, Bernardo Silva waiting to take this. So lines open for 606 to talk to Robbie and Chris. 08085 909 693. That will be a busy programme tonight with the Rashford, Garnacho and Mission, Gary O'Neill. City take the throw, Walker, and obviously whatever happens here in the remainder of the match. But it's not the best, as I say, one of the great sporting occasions in this city, but this match hasn't really sparkled. Few chances, and the goal coming from a header from Gvardiol from a deflected cross from Kevin De Bruyne. Phil Foden with the ball. Walker, then to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva now round the outside of Martinez. Bruno Fernandes is able to get that, and then Bruno Fernandes is tripped, and it's a free kick to Manchester United, 10 yards inside their own half. They're taking a quick free kick. Bruno Fernandes is giving it away to Haaland. That's careless. Doku then takes on De Ligt. The two of them collide. Doku's still in possession. Round the outside, takes on De Ligt again, who's twisting and turning, and then the ball eventually bounces behind. He did well there, De Ligt. Corner.
Yeah, but that moment there sums up my feeling of Manchester United in this game. Bruno Fernandes wins a free kick, puts it down. Two players made a run. Amad Diallo made a brilliantly timed run over the top. And also, I think it was Mazraoui on that side of the pitch made another advanced positive run. He could have played either of them in. He could have been positive going through on that City goal. Instead, he tried to play a square pass, actually more backwards than anything, to his defender, and gave the ball away, and now they're defending a corner.
And they're taking the same corner routine that they did when they scored. De Bruyne short, then Doku, and then eventually from Gundogan back to De Bruyne, but his ball into the penalty area was cleared. And before the match, when we were talking to our colleague Mark Ogden, who'll be with us after the match as well, he was saying, what will the effect be of Gundogan and De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva playing all of the match in Turin, in the beautiful city of Torino on Wednesday night. Well, we might see that further on during the course of the match as Mateus Nunes wins a free kick.
At the minute, though, they're not being stretched. They're not having to run an awful lot. The game's quite slow and laboured. Manchester United aren't playing the passes over the top to make the game a bit more like basketball, to make those players run. They're quite happy just to slow the game down and be part of the same type of tempoed game as Manchester City wanted to be.
Free kick, and it's taken Manchester City an age to take this. Walker was going to take it. Eventually Bernardo Silva comes. Menu, though, it breaks down again. It's been a very scrappy start to the second half. Ball played out to Amad Diallo, who allows it to roll and runs after it and keeps it in play on the right-hand side, and then gives it back to Bruno Fernandes, who thought about the ball into the edge of the penalty area. Mazraoui is there, back to Amad Diallo again. Jeremy Doku comes across, he switches it onto his left foot. Amad, now Bruno Fernandes, back to Mazraoui this time, then Bruno Fernandes. Eventually the ball does come in and it's overhit, and it went out on the full over the top of the crossbar for a goal kick.
Again, a decent break from United. They had opportunities to play the ball in quickly. They don't, they slow it down. And actually, 5 players, Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo, Amad Diallo, Mazraoui, and Ugarte, all went over to the corner of the penalty area to try and knock passes around. Only one person was in the penalty area, and that was Rasmus Højlund. Nobody else actually was thinking about scoring goals. It was like they were trying to keep the ball, and I just think they're letting Manchester City defend it very, very easily.
Yes, they are. In Maguire now and Haaland together, the two of them strong against one another. No free kick given. I thought that might have been, but Maguire nevertheless comes out with the ball, and Manchester United inside their own half. Yeah, this is the Manchester City team that's conceded 23 goals in the last 10 matches.
Yeah, I thought Manchester United would come here today and every time they won the ball, whether it was on transition or not, really try and make the game athletic and really try and get at Manchester City, try and put them on the back foot, try and expose them where everyone else has exposed them over the course of the last 10 games. And they're quite happy just to keep the ball in nice areas of the field at times, rather than try and penetrate and try and be forceful with their attacking approach.
What about the options, Leon? You know, who might Ruben Amorim call on if he wanted to try and do that, as United still have it inside their own half? Well, obviously no Rashford, no Garnacho, Mason Mount picking up the early injury in the match.
Yeah, well, the attacking players is, you know, Anthony Eriksson, who's a centre midfielder who does like to play forward passes, and Joshua Zirkzee, that, you know, could be a potential, but I don't think there's anyone off the bench that wants to threaten and run in behind, where, you know, I think that's where Manchester City would be able to be penetrated.
But at the moment, as you and I are talking to one another, they're not really going anywhere, are they? Comfortable possession. Just watching Ruben Amorim as well, you know, there's some quite animated body language from him, and then it breaks down for Manchester United on the halfway line. City have got it back. Foden, challenged by Mazraoui, but kept his feet. Foden found the pass down the left to Doku. Down he goes onto his haunches, the Manchester United manager, or head coach, as he was titled when he was announced. And Manchester City are back in possession again. And besides those occasions when they've beaten or been caught out and caught offside, I've not got a single note down on the Manchester United side of the page for potential goal-scoring opportunities in this match. Foden getting it down, might have been caught late, but he played the ball through to Haaland, who was beaten to it by De Ligt. And there the clearance is back to Manchester City. Gundogan heads it down. Mateus Nunes, who's being tugged back by Mainu, and yes, that is given by referee Taylor as a free kick. Remains 1-0 to Manchester City here, and in extra time at Hampden, Celtic 3, Rangers 3 is the latest score, as Ruben Dias passes it forward to Mateus Nunes. Jeremy Doku now. Mazraoui forces him to come inside. Gundogan is put under pressure by Ugarte, but he keeps possession. The former German international, as he is now, Ilkay Gundogan. And then Mateus Nunes is standing up. He's inviting the foul, which does eventually come from Mazraoui, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. And the game is broken up again, Leon.
Yeah, slow. Not quite laboured as such yet, but the team's putting that moment of burst into action.
Might come now. Foden into the penalty area, wriggles away from Ugarte, but De Ligt was there, so he turned, made his way back out of the penalty area. Gundogan sees that Mateus Nunes is there, but his attempted pass into the penalty area was cut out, and eventually De Ligt is able to play it away, but that just lands harmlessly as it bounces up onto the chest of Gvardiol. Then Mainu is in there, but Manchester City will just collect it on the halfway line, which they do. And right now, Manchester United are going nowhere against Manchester City. And indeed, it is City who come forward. Nunez over the top, and an outstretched leg of Haaland. One of those where he just tried to get a touch on it to bring it down into his own path, but he wasn't able to do so. And Onana has got it.
It would have been incredible had he done it. It wasn't an easy ball to take down, but he hasn't had much to serve off either today. Erling Haaland, he's not really had a chance. He's not really been given the ball an awful lot.
Manchester United take the throw-in, which was disputed. United not taking it from the right place, according to some of the Manchester City fans down in front of us, but referee Taylor allows play to continue. Diallo run into the penalty area, but Gvardiol was there. He was past Foden, he was past Mateus Nunes, and he looks bright, he looks on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, that lack of fear you have as a young player, as a youthful player coming through, that you don't see the negatives. He's picking the ball up, he's trying to be positive, he's running at people. Yes, it didn't come up, but it very nearly did. And you need that in your team. You need people to actually be prepared to lose the ball in trying to create something.
Manchester City 1-0 up. If it stays like this, Manchester City, for all of the crisis, will be level on points tonight with Arsenal. However, there is still half an hour of this Manchester derby to go. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. The lines are open for 606 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. from round about 7 o'clock onwards, so 08, 085, 909, 693, and as well as updates on the Chelsea, Brentford and Southampton, Tottenham matches, we will bring you the interviews from the aftermath of this match between Manchester City and Manchester United. Menu, just inside Manchester City territory, and then Mazraoui. But Manchester City are well drilled, they're in possession, and it's up to Manchester United, if they can, to try and find a way through this. Back to Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire to his right to De Ligt. Mazraoui is forced back into his own half, and Manchester United are going backwards all the way back to goalkeeper Onana. Martinez now turns the ball onto his left foot. Dalot, they're still just outside their own penalty area. Crossfield pass over towards the right-hand side. De Ligt now rolls it to Mazraoui. Now here's Kobbie Mainoo, but Haaland comes across. And then there's the pass to Amad Diallo, who skips in field, but he's still 10 yards inside his own half. There's the pass now into some space for Manchester United. And Martinez, the left-sided central defender, gives it to Dalot down the left-hand side. Bruno Fernandes is there. He comes in field. He curls it in right-footed. Amad Diallo with a header. Diving save by Ederson. His first of the match. Coming in the 62nd minute, but it was a good one.
Yeah, brilliant save. Sign of a top goalkeeper. You're not had to do anything, but suddenly an hour in you can sprint to or go to your left-hand side full stretch, because that was going in. And that was great play from Manchester United. Good bit of purpose to the play. Getting forward, bodies in the box when Bruno Fernandes picked his head up in the wide area. And Ahmad getting a good header, forcing the corner.
Set piece chance, here it is from Bruno Fernandes. Maguire's after it. De Ligt got his head to it first, then into the left side of the penalty area where Ugarte uses Martinez. Martinez's ball. Gvardiol came and won a good header there, but Kevin De Bruyne running it away. Touch away from Mazraoui, then Martinez flicks it past Bernardo Silva, forward to Ugarte. Better from Manchester United now. They are finally playing in the Manchester City half. Martinez, but all 10 sky blue shirts are behind the ball here. 1-0 lead, and they're holding on to it relatively comfortably. And in fact, in his own penalty area, Haaland just drives the ball away downfield. Onana almost crosses the halfway line as the Manchester United goalkeeper comes out to take possession. Then Martinez curls one forward, bounces for Højlund, left side of the box. Diaz in with a challenge, which bounces behind for what Anthony Taylor, 10 yards away, says is a goal kick. There were shouts from the other end of the stadium from the Manchester United supporters for a potential penalty, but goal kick given.
Well, Anthony Taylor hasn't given it. I mean, finally, when Højlund made a run forward, a purposeful run inside the penalty area, it was Martinez, floated the ball into him and he chests it down and he's trying to defend it. And Ruben Diaz is trying to reach out with his left foot around Rasmus Højlund to stop him being able to get a shot away. He doesn't connect with the ball. He actually connects with Højlund. I don't think there's a massive touch, but I think Højlund feels it and decides to take his chances of going to ground. I mean, Diaz dangles his leg, to be fair, before contact is made, and it is made, no doubt about that. Højlund going to ground, but the referee said no initially. I don't think VAR are going to overrule that.
No, I don't think so. Stuart Atwell is the video assistant referee, and
he's a lucky boy.
Yeah, Anthony Taylor could have given that. He didn't, and I think as the on-field official, I don't think there'd be enough there for them to feel that it was a clear and obvious decision that it should be overturned for a penalty.
Yeah, and he was close to the decision as the referee, and he felt he'd seen what he'd seen the first time. So yeah, I've got no issue with VAR not intervening to overrule that, but it could have been given. Certainly could have. It could.
I'll make a note of it, Leon. Notes have been thin on the ground, so I will make a note of it. De Ligt, then back to Onana. And Kevin De Bruyne is the Manchester City player, trying to put pressure on Onana, who chips it away to Dalot, and then to Ugarte, deep in his own territory, the Uruguayan international, and Manchester United with it on the far side. So we just switched on. Manchester City scoring the opening goal in the last 10 minutes of the first half, when Josko Gvardiol got yet another goal for Manchester City. 5 last season, already 4 this season now. And the way that the match is at the moment, you wouldn't rule it out being the only one that we see here. Manchester City, who've won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games against Manchester United. The only exception to that was at Old Trafford back in 2023, when the winning goal for Manchester United was scored by Marcus Rashford. Here is Bernardo Silva as Manchester United give it away. Bernardo Silva then goes down rather easily, but that is given as a free kick. Ugarte's challenge, 10 yards inside the Manchester United half. Now there's going to be a change. Kovacic is going to come on for Manchester City. As soon as he went down there, Bernardo Silva, Gvardiol turned, walked over to the bench, pointed to Kovacic and said, come on, it's now your time. And I suppose, 25 minutes to play, that's probably where he is, having had the spell out, missing the last 6 matches.
Yeah, I mean, because that free kick didn't determine Kovacic just coming on. He's already stripped and ready to go. It's a decision that Pep Guardiola had already made. He was going to come onto the field, and whether that's because of something he's seen on the pitch, or as you've just said, that the remaining minutes is just about the required amount for him in his return.
I think that, plus the fact, as Gary Flintoff, sitting here next to me, has just pointed out, it's Kevin De Bruyne coming off. Gundogan now on the run to the edge of the Manchester United box. He goes down under a challenge from Ugarte. Comes out to De Bruyne. Left foot shot! Flies over the top by a yard or so. And that will be the great man's last contribution to this game. I think he knows it as well, because he saw Kovacic being prepared on the side of the pitch. So Kevin De Bruyne,
I think that's why he took the shot on, to be honest. He was just thinking, and it wouldn't have surprised anyone had in his last moment he put one in the top corner from 22 yards or so. But he does look tired. He does look like, as Mark Ogden said before the game, he's had a lot of minutes in his legs after return, and he's getting up to speed. He is looking more like himself. He's certainly not there yet. Whether he will ever get back to those heights that he was at, we'll wait and see.
Don't say that, Leon. Don't say that.
He is.
Please don't tell me.
He is aging now, and he is. You do find it difficult to get to those heights that you were, but he's certainly on the road now after that long absence.
Yeah. I would be genuinely upset if we don't see Kevin De Bruyne at his best again. It has been brilliant, I have to say, watching him play in the Premier League and for this Manchester City team when he's been at his very, very best. Here's Højlund now, 1-0 Manchester City lead. Here's Amad Diallo down the right-hand side. Manchester City here struggling to get back into position. Amad Diallo, what a pass that is, right across the penalty area to Dallo. Dallo then back outside the box to Bruno Fernandes, but he took a little while there just to get it under control, and Bernardo Silva was very happy to nip in against his Portuguese international teammate to clear it away. Only back to Manchester United. Yeah, not been the best. 3/4 of the match is over now. Just the 1 goal in it. But Diallo now takes that ball into his stride, and the touch took it to Ederson. Well, he was being very closely watched there and went to ground in the end, but the Manchester City goalkeeper's got it.
He's been the danger, hasn't he? Diallo on that right-hand side. First of all, a wonderful chop and sprint past Matheus Nunes, and then a decent ball into the penalty area with his right foot to follow it. United not quite getting an effort on target. Then on the end of that crossfield pass with the first touch, you can feel the nerves around the Etihad when you see him running into that penalty area. He's been the biggest threat for United.
Here's Jeremy Doku. Mazraoui retreats, and then Kovacic gets his first touch of the match. He's injured on international duty with Croatia, hence this latest spell out. 108 caps now for Croatia, for Mateo Kovacic. I suppose he is the closest, isn't he, I think, to someone who can fill the enormous gap of Rodri. Forward towards Gundogan, a flick from him onto the chest of Haaland, then back for Foden. Foden now to his right to Gundogan, but Manchester United also getting shirts back. Matheus Nunes joins the attack, gives it to Doku. Doku now, again, Mazraoui retreating against him. Doku to the byline, and then the crossover is headed away by Diogo Dalot for Manchester United. Yeah, it's been fits and starts from both teams in this Manchester derby. Gundogan probably reflecting their recent form. Walker, and then Mateo Kovacic finds Phil Foden, who turns. He had a couple of near things, Phil Foden, in the first half, still searching for that first Premier League goal of the campaign. Kovacic now moving away from us over towards the left-hand side, but then turns back and uses Kyle Walker. Walker yellow carded in the first half after heads together with Rasmus Højlund, who was also yellow carded. De Ligt then rolls it back to Onana again. Onana long from the Manchester United goalkeeper into the centre circle. Ruben Dias leaps forward, gets first contact on that, and then it comes off the head of De Ligt and bounces out of play for a throw into Manchester City down the left. Mateus Nunes is able just to trot off the pitch. There is an element now, you feel it as well, of Manchester City very much managing the game, so when it stops, there's no great hurry to get things going again, which I think is also a reflection of where they are right now. Mateus Nunes eventually wins it, and Manchester United oblige them by knocking the ball actually via a deflection out for another throw. So it's Manchester United now potentially facing a third consecutive league defeat here, admittedly against teams in the top 5, against Arsenal, Nottingham Forest and now Manchester City. But there is still, you feel a lack of urgency that at some point Manchester United probably will have to go for this to an extent, as Mazraoui slips over, but Menu is there. Menu plays it forward, but Højlund was in an offside position, and actually the flag comes early. So 1-0 Manchester City lead against Manchester United. Let's find out how things are going. Must be into the second half of extra time in the League Cup final with you, Gavin Wallace.
We are, John. We've only got 3 minutes to go. Celtic 3, Rangers 3. Chances are premium in extra time. I suspect everyone's getting tired, but the dreaded penalties may well be to come. 3 minutes to go. Celtic 3, Rangers 3.
So 3-3, potential of penalties to come. Jack Grealish, Leon, is being prepared by Pep Gvardiol. He's got his one arm round Jack Grealish's back, and Bernardo Silva is tripped over, so it's a free kick. And actually Jack Grealish drops down onto one knee to lace his boots. Pep Gvardiol also goes down onto one knee as he continues to talk to him.
Yeah, just try and get all the information.
It's like the Paso Doble.
Yeah, that he can, but it's quite animated when he turned to the substitutes bench then to ask for Jack Grealish, whether it was something that frustrated him on the pitch, something happened on the far side. I don't know if he's too delighted about, and he turned straight away to the bench and hurriedly told Jack Grealish to get stripped to coming on.
Meanwhile, Manchester United are also going to make a change. Anthony is going to be the first to come on, but I think young Lenny Yoro is also getting ready. Yes, he is. I can see his red Manchester United hoodie now. He's taking that off and he's preparing to come on, so it's going to be a double change for Manchester United, with less than 20 minutes to play here at the Etihad Stadium on this December afternoon. Højlund playing the ball through to Bruno Fernandes, who dinks it over Ederson, but wide. Oh, that looked for all the world as though it was going to drop into the back of the Manchester City net from a slight angle on the right-hand side of the penalty area, but drops and bounces wide.
Yeah, finally a positive run from midfield from a bit of depth. That means it's a lot more difficult to catch offside. It was Højlund who actually dropped into the space, got turned. It was Bruno Fernandes who made the run from deep. The City defenders had to go with it, allowed Højlund to turn inside that Manchester City half, and once he's played him in, you just thought he's got to finish it, whether he goes round or whether he passes it in. He went to try and chip him. From our angle it looked in all the way, but quite clearly that is a big miss for Manchester United. That is a huge chance in this game for both teams. Manchester United needed to score it. Manchester City will feel they got one off the hook there.
As you say, Leon, in this match, that's a big chance when they've been few and far between. We've had the save now, Ederson, the diving save from Ahmad's header, and then that chance there. So Manchester City continue to lead.
The surprise is the fact that we've been saying that they need a runner from midfield. They need to get this run and the timing of this run right, because Manchester City's defence has been there to be got at, and that's took till the 74th minute to happen.
Back to Hampden in a moment, but here's Doku on the left-hand side. Doku against Mazraoui. Then in comes the challenge from Menu. Those substitutes still waiting to come onto the field. Might give us a chance to hear from Gavin Wallace again. 3-3. I think it is going to penalties. In fact, let's do that now. Let's bring in Gavin.
Yeah, John, going to penalties. Players just getting a couple of massages, some last-minute words, and we'll find out how this goes. It's a lottery, you know exactly what it's like. 3 each, it finishes after extra time. Penalties on the way in the League Cup final at Hampden.
OK, there'll be regular visits back to Gavin, as that penalty shootout unfolds. 1-0 to Manchester City here. Lines open for 606 as well on 5 Live to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 08085 909 693. Conor Cody's going to be one of the guests, by the way, on the Monday Night Club again tomorrow, when we'll have updates on the Bournemouth West Ham game. City playing it through to Foden. Foden's ball across, but Maguire is in position to head it away. Still not cleared the box. Haaland with a shot on the turn, but that hits the back of Martinez, which deflected it well wide of goal. I think it was on target, Leon, but it's a corner.
Really good block fight by Martinez. Just made sure he kept as close as he could to Haaland. He didn't get caught up in what else was going on. He didn't get caught up in just following the ball and blocking the line. Was never too far away from the City striker. But that was classic Manchester City. You get the ball out of wide area. Phil Foden or somebody makes the run in that inside channel into the penalty area. For so long now, Manchester City have been quite dynamic in the way they play the ball to the Doku out wide, and Doku tries to get at someone and create something. They don't play those runs as often anymore. They did on that occasion and nearly cut right through United.
Yeah, no more Doku though in this match. Jack Grealish is going to replace him. Doku, who scored in that last home match, the win against Nottingham Forest. A little exchange between him and Grealish, and then Pep Guardiola comes across, so that's a big hug for him and quite a discussion. Another slap on the back as well, and Jack Grealish is onto the field. Jack Grealish, who's not scored for Manchester City since last December. In fact, a year ago tomorrow since Grealish last scored for City. Here is the corner. In it goes. Headed away by Maguire though. And then on the volley from Phil Foden on the edge of the box. Tried to set himself, actually quite Paul Scholes-like the way that he set himself, but it was a couple of yards and more over the top of the bar. And it's going to be a three-way change for Manchester United now. A triple change. And Xerxes also coming on. So here we go. It is Højlund who is off. He's had quite a tussle, hasn't he? And you can hear the reaction there after his wrestling with Erling Haaland, and also the way that he went down. Thought he might have had a penalty, the challenge from Diaz. So Xerxes is on for him, having already scored a couple of goals for Ruben Amorim after that long spell without. Mazraoui is the man who comes off for Anthony, and then it is Matthijs de Ligt who is going to make way for the French teenager Lenny Yoro. And de Ligt is absolutely sprinting off the field because time is of the essence for Manchester United.
Yeah, good to see that. You know, realising you're not just getting substituted and you're not just having to leave the field and taking your time. His team are behind. The clock is against them, against Manchester United. Get off the pitch as quickly as you can and get the game going.
So Anthony coming on. We were talking about this at half-time, weren't we, Leon? And it's taken until we're into the last 15 minutes now. So what would you think that Manchester United want from Anthony and Amad Diallo over there together?
Well, I thought that Manchester United would need to actually make changes, make attacking changes, use that wing back area as someone with an attacking desire. I thought in doing so that would mean Diallo going out onto that right wing back and Anthony playing a little bit further forward. It hasn't, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like Anthony's going to be that right wing back at the moment, the way they're lining up. So that'll be something that is a matchup that I can see Jack Grealish up against Anthony.
Yeah, but also I think interesting that he's made that change when Doku's gone off the field, so Grealish has come on. However, Anthony, who's standing looking probably slightly unfamiliar in the centre circle, in the way that a central defender would stand.
He's hoping the ball only comes over to his side of the pitch when Manchester United have got it.
When they're going forward. Yeah. Do you remember that match? Was it against Liverpool when he ended up playing as left back? He certainly didn't look a natural there. Manchester City 1-0 up and inching towards what would be only their second win since October. It's out of play for a throw. Dalot's actually gone to get the ball. Pep Guardiola's in discussions with Anthony Taylor about something. He is actually a yellow card away from a touchline ban, the Manchester City manager. Throw in, Dalot to take this. Dalot takes it back. We're into the last 10 minutes now here. And Manchester United 1-0 down. leave them still rooted in the bottom half of the table. Kovacic in with a firm challenge on Menu, who went down. Ball played forward for Manchester United, and they are on the move now with Anthony. Anthony looks for Amad Diallo. He's still in possession, still keeping the ball. Amad Diallo says, come on, I'll have it here, and he does, to his right. Then back to Anthony, now back to Amad Diallo again, who gets it down. He's into the penalty area now against Mateus Nunes, beats him, goes for the byline, and then in comes the challenge, still inside the penalty area. And in the end, for Manchester United, cheers of great amusement from the Manchester City fans behind the stand, because it's a goal kick to the home side after it came off Bruno Fernandes. So 1-0 to Manchester City. How's the penalty shootout going, Gavin?
One each just now. James Tavernier stood up. We're shooting off to the Rangers end, the west side of the stadium. Adamida has also pulled it up for Celtic, so it's one each. Yanis Hadji now about to step up and take his.
Okay, back to Gavin at regular intervals as that develops. But the Manchester City supporters gaining in confidence here, that maybe that one goal, that goal that was headed in by Gvardiol 10 minutes before half-time or thereabouts, might be enough to win this derby. Manchester United with Anthony, but then it's played back over there from the far side, the left-hand side, by Mateus Nunes. Forward for City. Haaland got his head to that. Grealish will chase it, but Harry Maguire comfortably got there first and played it out of play off Jack Grealish. Throw in. Maguire leaves the ball for Anthony to take, and I'm not sure entirely what he's waiting for. Eventually he does take it back to Ugarte. Martinez in a little bit of trouble on the edge of the box, just had to hook it away, comes back over the top where Martinez gets a glance on it, back to Onana. Well, I'll make it 7 minutes now to play from Manchester United, trying to find and rescue something from this game. Dalot back to Martinez. Martinez draws Bernardo Silva to him and then plays it forward. Bruno Fernandes now here infield. Pep Gvardiol almost marches onto the pitch with all of the instructions and the finger pointing and the arm waving that he's doing. Anthony now on that far side against Grealish. Grealish forces him to go round the outside to the right into the full-back position, then back to Amad, and then Ugarte, square from him to Martinez. It's all a little slow, this, from Manchester United, though, you would think. Dalot against a retreating Walker, then back infield to Ugarte, square from him to Martinez, then the delivery, and the header is up and over the top from Kobbie Mainoo. Just tried to twist on it. What was he, 12 yards out, something like that?
Yeah, not the easiest of headers. You know, we thought it did look a little bit slow in the attack, but that's not necessarily a problem. It's about knowing where you're aiming to attack the opposition in, and for a majority of this game, when they've got to that area, Manchester United haven't known where they were going to penetrate. Well, you could actually quite see it in that area. As soon as that ball came out to this left-hand side there, it was Martinez, took it on himself, touch, and he was about to cross, and you had three Manchester United players attacking the penalty area, which is a good sign. Unfortunately for them, Kobbie Mainoo just couldn't get over the ball and direct it slightly behind him. Difficult header.
Manchester City on the move again. Grealish down the left-hand side. City, as Grealish, his attempted pass into the area is intercepted, but then Kobbie Mainoo with a heavy touch has taken it behind for a corner to City. Back to the penalty shootout. Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, it's 3 each now. Arnie Engels has just dispatched one expertly beyond Jack Butland, and Ridvan Yilmaz is about to step up here, John, as Kasper Schmeichel takes his stance. Yilmaz goes to the left foot. Kasper Schmeichel saves! That's the first save, and Rangers now have it all to do. Celtic will need to score, but Ridvan Yilmaz has just missed a penalty.
Well, I can tell you that Kasper Schmeichel's dad, Peter, is inside the ground here, and if you heard him on Colin Murray's programme, Manchester City with a corner, which is swung in by Grealish, but headed away at the near post. Peter Schmeichel was saying to Colin Murray this morning he was going to be watching this in the ground on his phone, so somewhere the big man will be...
I didn't see him jump up, did you?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, he did play for both teams, didn't he, Peter Schmeichel? Briefly for Manchester City at the end of his career. Oh, ball is played back by Walker. Amad's onto this. He's wide. He's been forced wide by Ederson. Oh, and then a challenge from Mateus Nunes. That's a penalty. What on earth was Mateus Nunes doing there? as it was cut back by Amad Diallo. Mateus Nunes just piled into him, and that's the easiest decision that Anthony Taylor will have all season. Penalty for Manchester United and a chance for the equaliser, and Amad might have a problem here. They're calling the medical people on to have a look at him.
Yeah, it was a big challenge for Mateus Nunes. He was the one that played that short pass back to the goalkeeper that he completely underhit. And Amad Diallo spotted it. He was sharp. He's been the threat. He's been the danger all day. He gets to it before the goalkeeper goes around him. I actually thought he should have shot first time. The opportunity presented itself. He didn't. He chopped back, so the goalkeeper went to ground, and then you thought, is he going to take his chance? But before he had opportunity, Mateus Nunes came in with a clattering challenge that I'm just seeing a replay. The replay is showing Pep Gvardiola's reaction as Manchester United players are claiming with their arms in the air for the penalty. He's jumping in the air with his hands on his head, turning round to the camera. Before the decision was even made, he knew from his position he was about to bring on John Stones as a substitute, and he's had to ask him to sit back down before this penalty's taken.
Penalty about to be taken, but Gavin Wallace.
Jack Butland has just scored a penalty for Rangers. There's 4 each now as Rio Hatate steps up and puts in to the bottom left-hand corner, and that means, John, that Celtic will win and have won the Scottish League Cup for 2024. They've won it back from Rangers.
Celtic win the League Cup final on penalties. Now Bruno Fernandes here in Manchester, inside the Etihad Stadium, has a chance to equalise from the penalty spot. Ruben Diaz outside the area is telling the Manchester City fans behind the goal to raise their arms and try and put him off. Bruno Fernandes, the club record penalty scorer for Manchester United, to level things up in the Manchester derby, right-footed and scores, sends Ederson the wrong way, and it is back to 1-1. And in the last 5 minutes of the match, Manchester United draw level. It's been nip and tuck, this match between these two, and now there's nothing in it at all. 1-1.
Yeah, good penalty for Bruno Fernandes. It was just a match-up, him versus Ederson. Goalkeeper dived to his right. Bruno Fernandes opened his foot up, side-footed it to his right, goalkeeper's left. Good penalty. Keeper had no chance. The fact that he went the wrong way, guessed wrongly. Good pen, big moment for Manchester United, but again, Manchester City just causing their own problems. A game that has, it took a deflection to assist the first goal, a big mistake and a penalty kick for the second goal. That's the way the game's gone. It's the way the game's felt. For being ahead, going into the latter stages, 87 minutes, Manchester City about to bring on John Stones just to shore up the game, find themselves level.
Yeah, John Stones was about to make his return, but he has gone to sit down, and it's Savinho who has come on instead for İlkay Gundogan. So Manchester City back at 1-1 in this match. Another win snatched away from them. It might be, as United go back to Onana, who clears from his 6-yard box into the centre circle. So Pep Guardiola clearly has felt he has to make that move, and now it's Manchester City who have to go for this. 1-1 in the derby, and now Manchester United coming forward again down the left-hand side, but Dalot checks back, so we'll go back to the Cup final and Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, what an exciting day we've had. Celtic now champions again of the League Cup in Scotland. It finished 3 each.
The ball played in, and now Amad Diallo with a chance to win it. Oh, what a touch! What a touch from the long ball through. He got his toe end to it. It took him wide of Ederson, and from the tightest of angles, he slipped it in. And Manchester United can now celebrate, turning this match right around. And Manchester City, who led for so long by 1-0, it is another dark day for them. They're heading to another defeat. This will be 8 in the last 11 matches. And Manchester United, their delirious fans in one corner of the Etihad Stadium, are absolutely jubilant. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 2. What a play from Amad Diallo.
Wow, can you believe it? I think only 3 minutes ago we were talking about Manchester United heading for their 3rd straight Premier League defeat. Now we're talking about Manchester City and this run continuing. I've been talking all afternoon about somebody just play the positive pass forward for Manchester United. If there's a runner making a run from deep, play the pass, and it's just a long ball right through the middle of that Manchester City defence. Amad Diallo bends his run from that right-hand side, bends it brilliantly. Martinez lifts it over the top, he goes through. We all held our breath. Was he quick enough? Ederson came running out. Would he be able to get there, or would the ball skip through to Ederson? Well, the speed of the young man, the stretch he showed was quite incredible, but then to control the finish as the ball looped out of the sky with that left foot, it was absolutely fantastic. The Manchester City fans, heads in their hands. Manchester United go absolutely crazy. The two managers' contrasting reactions was incredible to see, but again, brilliant from Manchester United, but Manchester City find themselves again shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, what a turnaround that was. They did have chances, not many in the second half, but that is 2 goals in 2 minutes, and quite a finish from Amad Diallo. The long pass from Martinez it was from inside his own half, which was excellent really, just dropped it over the Manchester City back line, but the touch took him wide as Ederson came out, and even though Gvardiol was getting back on the goal line, the way that the shot rolled in, he just couldn't get his feet right, couldn't prevent it from going through him into the back of the net. And there we are, 2-1, and now Manchester City facing another home defeat. 4-0 against Tottenham. They did recover with the 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, but now here they are, incredibly, looking at what would be a 5th Premier League defeat of the season for the champions. And for Ruben Amorim, what a lift this is for his Manchester United team. But not over yet, we're into added time. We are into 5 minutes of added time as Victor Lindelof, who's just come on as a substitute for the potential winning goal scorer Amad Diallo. Lindelof is able to get a touch back to Onana, who clears out of play on the halfway line.
Yeah, and those Manchester United fans probably would have been forgiven for leaving in the 87th minute in this game with their team 1-0 behind, not seemingly really pushing too hard to equalise. And now, it doesn't look like anybody left. That section is full, that section is buoyant. They're at the moment cheering on their team to what looks like a victory snatched away from Manchester City.
Late goals conceded again at the Etihad, not unlike the Feyenoord match when they had to come from 3-0 down, 3 goals in the last 15 minutes. Manchester United scoring in the 88th and the 90th minutes. First the penalty from Bruno Fernandes, and then that goal from Amad Diallo. Look out for that on Match of the Day tonight with all of the highlights. And Manchester City now with the recently arrived Savinho back to Walker, but Manchester United have got all of those red shirts back in their defensive third, and time is rapidly running out. I make it we're in the 4th minute of added time. Ruben Amorim chases down the touchline. He's out of his coaching area now. He's got instructions. Gvardiol, Haaland, but it didn't reach Foden. That layoff from Haaland. United still haven't cleared it. Lindelof plays it back to Onana, who puts his foot through it, and that is 3.5 minutes played of the 5 of added time. Foden, now Savinho takes on Dalot, plays it back, but it's behind Foden. He has to recover possession again. Phil Foden, then into the centre circle to Gvardiol. Diaz rolls it to his left to Bernardo Silva, then Mateus Nunes to Grealish now onto his right foot. In comes the ball, it's headed behind by Lindelof for a corner to Manchester City. There is still a chance for the champions.
They're still pushing, they're still trying to force United back, as Bruno Fernandes is actually asking the United fans over in that corner just to get up and give them one last bit of effort.
Here's the delivery then. Grealish into the near post, poor delivery right onto the head of the diving Martinez, who in a very relieved fashion heads it away. City again, Bernardo Silva, that's headed down and away by Lenny Yoro for Manchester United. And then Bernardo Silva on the halfway line back to Ederson. I make it we've got 30 seconds to play. 30 seconds. Walker, long and high, too long. That'll bounce all the way through to Onana, who's able to leap and pat it down and then fall on the ball, to a great ovation from the Manchester United supporters, who are just over the advertising hoardings beyond the stewards there in their high-vis coats. And Onana gets to his feet and actually has time to give them the old clenched fist salute there before he runs to the edge of the box.
Yeah, the game's not finished yet, and he was happy to basically start his celebrations. But, Manchester City have scored the goal in this game. A little bit of help, a little bit of a deflection, wonderful finish. I don't think really looked like scoring the second goal at all. It didn't look like a game of many goals until Manchester United just had that little burst.
This might be the last chance, Leon, for Manchester City to pull something out of this. Manchester United leading by 2-1, 2 late goals. But here, possibly the last play of the match, Foden, challenged, comes back to Diaz. Diaz's attempted ball is cut out, and now Manchester United chase it away downfield with Xerxes, but then in slides Savinho. Xerxes, though, stands up strongly against Walker. Xerxes, I think, has got only this corner flag in mind, still going, and there it is! Manchester United have won it! And it's another defeat for Manchester City, this time in the Manchester derby. Diogo Dalot drops onto his back, clenched fists in the air, and the Manchester United players, 1-0 down until the 88th minute, have just produced their biggest win so far under Ruben Amorim's management. Victory in his first Manchester derby, just when it seemed that Manchester City had done enough in a match that certainly didn't sparkle, but they just had a 1-0 lead, and it wasn't enough, Leon Osman.
No, it wasn't enough. I mean, Manchester City, I don't think either team for 85 minutes looked like they'd done enough to win the game. I thought by their usual standards it was a little flat. There wasn't enough quality that you'd usually see in the game, but it looked like Manchester City would get over the line, and as is typical at the moment, a sloppy pass just changed the game negatively for Manchester City. Matheus Nunes giving it to Manchester United's best player on the day, Amad Diallo, who was clever. He was aware of the potential of a bad pass, like all good strikers and top players at that end of the pitch do. Gets into a good pitch position, wins the penalty that Matheus Nunes compounded by giving away after the bad pass, and suddenly, you thought it was going to be a draw, but United were just positive. They sort of became more positive in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, which ultimately won it. They took advantage of the feeling around this stadium and the feeling about Manchester City that things aren't going their way, to not only take a draw in the game but go on and win it. And it's a big result for Manchester United, disastrous result for Manchester City again, considering where they were. But United won't care. This was all about them coming away with the victory.
Yeah, Manchester United's first win here inside their city rivals stadium for the best part of 4 years, and their players are making the most of it. They are milking this. I see there that Xerxes jumps on the back of Harry Maguire. Diogo Dalot is walking across, fists clenched, arms in the air to the Manchester United supporters, all of them going across there. Amad Diallo, the man who scored the winning goal. But for Manchester City, it's happened again. It is this remarkable story of Manchester City's loss of form just continues on. 8 defeats in 11 matches now in League and Cup. A 5th Premier League defeat of the season. Their 2nd defeat at home. Before the Tottenham match here, they'd gone 52 matches in this stadium without losing in 90 minutes. And now, that is their 2nd defeat of the week. 2 defeats in their last 3 Premier League matches here at the Etihad Stadium, and their players are leaving the pitch with their heads hanging. 1-0 for such a long time after Gvardiol scored the opening goal for the champions just before half-time. But then that penalty conceded by Matheus Nunes, scored by Bruno Fernandes in the 88th minute, and Amad Diallo's tremendous finish, really, from the position that he was in, making the final score here inside the Etihad Stadium as Manchester United supporters sing their songs. City 1, United 2. And Steve Crossman is here with us to dissect it all.
And we will do our best to do it. We've certainly got enough time. It's 6:30. We're on air live from the Etihad Stadium until 7 o'clock. We will try and bring you live reaction from downstairs here. Both Ruben Amorim and Pep Guardiola have left the field. In fact, Ruben Amorim didn't even take the field. He seemed to very, very quickly disappear down the tunnel. The Manchester City manager walked around, shook hands with players from both teams, and then made his exit. There are still 3 in blue on the pitch here. Ruben Diaz is just below us with his sleeves rolled up, walking down the touchline. Erling Haaland has just taken off his blue City shirt to reveal his under top, and he looks a picture of frustration. He pushes out and puffs out his cheeks as he leaves the pitch. Most of the Manchester United players are still over with their supporters after an absolutely remarkable end to the game. Leon Osman and correspondent John Murray are here with us. And do you know what, Leon? It feels like that game changed when Manchester United finally realised that it was there for them to change it.
Yeah, talking and seeing what, firstly before this game, knowing what Manchester City have been like defensively over the last 10 games or so. They've been frail. They haven't been able to, stop the opposition from getting chances. Their goalkeepers face more shots than you'd expect. They look like you can get through them at any point. It was as if Manchester United hadn't watched any of that for the first, 70 minutes or so. They were quite passive. They were, sideways a lot of the times with their passes, despite a number of the players making really positive runs forward. And then suddenly Bruno Fernandes made a run from deep. Rasmus Højlund got turned, played him in. He should have scored in that moment. They missed, and they suddenly thought, this is how we do it. We know what to do now. And from that moment, they did look more dangerous. The equaliser goal still was very avoidable for Manchester City. They've got possession of the ball. They're keeping it at the back. Matheus Nunes tried to play a pass, and he didn't connect with it properly. But even if he did, I'm not sure if it was the right pass in the right moment when Amad Diallo was lurking in that position on the edge of the City penalty area or in and around there. And to play it, and then it's one thing making one mistake, but then to back it up immediately by bringing Amad Diallo to the ground as well. Ederson had sort of done well to force him to not shoot initially, force him to go around, buying time for the rest of the team to get back, and Matheus Nunes came from nowhere and clattered into it. Referee had no choice. Suddenly at 1-1, you just felt the nerves in the stadium. You felt, here we go again. And then after that, Manchester United positive, just what we're asking for. Just, if someone makes a positive run forward right through the middle, play it in. You might get something out of it. Martinez was one of the few that actually tried to play passes all day. And to the player that was outstanding, Amad Diallo, who, I didn't give it justice initially when we had so much to talk about, but John was right in his analysis. He does brilliant to get there, but then the ball loops up and he keeps his eye on it and makes sure that his connection is good on a really tight angle to volley it on the angle into the goal. Scuffs it slightly, which helps the Man City players slide past it, but still a brilliant goal to win the game.
Also, John, if any player was going to win this game for Manchester United, then really it had to be Amad Diallo, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think as Leon said, what they needed really was to have the personnel on the field who were going to be able to take advantage of him being a little bit further forward, which really in the end they did. From that Martinez pass, he just dropped it beautifully over the back line. I have to confess, when it bounced, I thought that's away from him, because it lands in front of him and bounces up into the penalty area. But you're so fleet of foot, isn't he? And to get the touch to it that he did.
And it was a positive change. Credit to Ruben Amorim. Yes, obviously his team were behind, chasing the game, and you can make positive substitutions in a freer way. But to bring Anthony on, who would have thought Anthony would come on at right wing back up against Jack Grealish, who just entered the game, and actually win both sides of that battle and actually be looking forward and being more positive in and around Amad Diallo in playing those link-ups and allowing Diallo then to make runs inside, because Anthony was going up on the outside. That was a positive substitution, which then sort of forced Bruno Fernandes and Martinez in particular to see those opportunities and think, I've got to play that pass. I can't keep turning those runs down, because those runs were there all afternoon. Even if you watch back in the first half, those runs were there. They just didn't play the pass. As the game went on, they started to realise it was on more.
But old Matheus Nunes, who had to play in that position, or at least that's the decision that Pep Guardiola, he had to play someone in that position.
Yep.
And
88 really good minutes.
Yeah, having acquitted himself very well really until that point, to initially play the pass that gave the ball away, and then to come in with what was really, better than me, Leon, but it seemed to me like a really naive challenge to come in with the force that he did, at the pace that he did, against a player who could quite easily do exactly what he did, Amad Diallo, and make him look silly.
Yeah, I've done it myself. You make a mistake and it could be so costly, and then suddenly you think there's an opportunity to put it right. He's been slowed down. There's the ball. I can go and win it back. But the modern day Premier League footballer protects the ball at all times. If the ball seems like it's there to be won, back in the old days, two players will go in and compete for it. Nowadays, you might think the ball's there to be won for a moment, and as the challenges come in, a clever player will just step across, take the foul, take the commitment. And yes, he was very naive in that moment, Matheus Nunes. And funnily enough, he made the mistake in the bad back pass from the right back spot, whereas pretty much the whole game he'd played from the left back area. So I'd like to see it again to see how he ended up in this side of the pitch rather than the position he played the whole game.
But isn't that typical of when you're on a run like City are on, that kind of things happen to you? The unusual thing is that we never in our life expected these kind of things to happen to Manchester City, but it is.
Yeah, not the Manchester City who, as we were talking before the game, paraded 4 in a row around the stadium because they deserved to, because they've been outstanding. They've won 4 titles in a row. We expected that it would most probably be 5 titles in a row, which would have been completely unheard of. But I think it's just
are you ready to absolutely rule that out now?
I think it's the depth of the fall. I mean, it's still very difficult knowing what we've seen Manchester City do over the course of Pep Gvardiola's tenure, that they can get on runs and come back from anything. But this team looks like they're struggling to get any kind of run together, and this team right now doesn't look capable of getting on a run that can win them the Premier League title. They'll be pleased to get a couple of draws and a couple of wins in the stretch of 10 games rather than win all 10.
Just for the record, it has happened before that a team has come from the number of points that Manchester City have after 15 games before today to win the title. So it's not completely unprecedented that a team can do that. Manchester United did it.
Yeah, okay. Well, the Manchester City fans, so many of them just jumped up and walked out around us when that Amad Diallo shot hit the back of the net. They did not want to see any more, and they did not want to see the scenes that we've been looking at for the last 7 or 8 minutes, which is Manchester United fans celebrating wildly, and they're still doing it away to our right-hand side.
But, we've seen a complete change of narrative there over the course of those 2 minutes after, whatever has happened. And Ruben Amorim making that decision today in his 7th match, before his 7th match, the Manchester derby, away from home, to make the decision that he was going to do without of the services of Marcus Rashford and Garnacho. In the match, didn't really pull up any trees. And in the end, he's ended up with the biggest win of his time as the Manchester manager so far, and now that's going to be less of a talking point in the way that it would have been had those 2 goals not gone in.